This is ESPN 102.5 The Game. From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Now let's see if we can bring them to life, all right?
Bringing you entertainment and informative sports talk during your workday.
Smart, funny, classy, and I like him a lot.
This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase with Chase McCabe, Willy Donick,
Mason, touchdown, Tennessee.
and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
This is a new level of geek you got going on here.
Good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Willy Donick, Derek Mason back in the fold. All here with you. Nick Keyser on the ones and twos behind the glass as well, as it is a college football weekend. Excited for that, but a lot of stories to get to today, including the Vols' big win last night over Ball State. Absolutely dominated from the jump as Hendon Hooker and company, Josh Heupel in year number 2, things really take off for them. Boys, how we doing?
Doing good. Do you consider that a big win in a sense? I mean, they did what they were supposed to do.
Right.
They dominated the game.
Yeah, I mean.
And I know when that's typical of when we get on the radio and say big win. You know, you heard it last night when I was watching the telecast. But it was big in the sense of, in previous years we didn't see this from the Vols. Like go out,
yeah,
just
like last
dominate.
year they won, but they didn't cover, and it was a closer game early on, than it needed to be.
The C word. So that's why it's a big win. Is that right? is that what we're reading into?
I am overly excited with that result.
Ah, there we go.
Now we're talking big.
There we go.
Now we're talking big.
Covered that
Exactly.
35. Let me tell you something. That field goal that Ball State kicked, I did a backflip because it was sitting. The over was 66.5, and it was sitting at 66. And I'm like, this damn thing I'm gonna miss this by a freaking hook. And they kicked that field goal. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Hey, there
let's
you go.
Kickers' lives matter.
But you did win your silly underdogs.
No, I didn't.
You didn't win?
No, I didn't.
Missouri. Who did you pick?
I had West Virginia. Don't get me.
Hold on. West Virginia end up losing?
Yes.
lost.
Don't get me started.
Oh my
on that.
goodness!
Did you not see the end of that?
I turned it off.
Oh,
because I was tired from traveling, and Pitt had scored to tie the game, but then West Virginia.
So West Virginia is driving down the field. Throws a pick six.
Oh wow!
Then they get the ball back again, and it's like, okay, all right, not the end of the world. I mean, not ideal, but still not the end of the world. They're driving once again, and it's JT Daniels who's the quarterback, the Georgia transfer and USC transfer, and so they're driving. 4th and 16 from what, Willie? Maybe the 30. So I mean, they were in.
Yeah,
in
they got to do plus territory.
Throws a bomb right to the goal line, and the initial look is it looked like he caught it.
Yeah, the ruling on the field.
The ruling on the field was it was a catch right at basically at the goal line. They review it, hit the turf.
Oh
Yeah.
wow!
Ball game.
And game over. But first of all, I don't blame you for falling asleep because the game took like 5-6
it was
hours.
long.
It was a ridiculously long game. Every other play was reviewed, but it was an exciting game.
It was. And Purdue, Penn State was too.
In our alternate
Freaking
universe,
Jeff Brom. Come on, man. You got to win that game.
that was another long game that was very entertaining. But I would first of all, it was just great to have games to watch. It was just awesome. The crowds, I thought, on the games that were on TV, the main ones, fantastic atmospheres, just packed to the gills. Like Purdue, I didn't expect to see that, but Purdue had every single seat filled. It was phenomenal. Tennessee had a great crowd. Minnesota had an incredible crowd for playing against – who were they playing? New Mexico State. It was a great crowd. And obviously Pittsburgh. That's going to be a hornet's nest. That's a big stadium. That's where the Steelers play, and they had 70,000 people there. I don't think of Pitt football as a place that has that. Now, maybe because they're playing West Virginia, they got a bump there, but I think the Tennessee-Pittsburgh game is going to have a special atmosphere. But West Virginia was up 7, Chase. Had the ball at the 50-yard line, 4th and about an inch, and they punted. Like, in this day and age, people don't do that anymore. This is not Bill Parcells. But that, to me, is where they lost the game. They were winning by 7. They were running the heck out of the ball. And they chickened out. They took a delay of game and punted from midfield, gave the ball back to Pitt, and then Pitt changed the momentum from there. In the pick 6 hurt. So West Virginia had a great chance to win.
Well, they had the right before the tying touchdown. What was it? 2nd and 10, tight end. It was a close catch. They had to review it. And you really couldn't tell whether the ball hit the ground or not. They called it a catch on the field. They end up upholding the ruling on the field, but it was one of those plays where if it gets called an incomplete, it puts Pittsburgh in a really tough situation with 3rd and 10. But it went from 3rd and 10 to 3rd and 1. And that's the drive they end up going in and scored and tied the game. After that, I turned back to the Tennessee game and started watching more of the second half. And I didn't turn back until the Tennessee game went off. And I thought West Virginia had went down the field and scored.
Nope.
I'm like, man, I need to get some rest. So, but yeah, the UT game, Hooker played a really good game. He was efficient. He spread the ball across the field. He looked like a starting quarterback. Milton came in, and the offense didn't run the same, but he was still capable of, leading scoring drives. He missed the tight end in the back of the end zone on one of those drives that I know he wished he would have had back. But other than that, I think UT did exactly what they were supposed to do. I was a little disappointed in their defense at the beginning of the second half. They gave up a touchdown. It seemed like they got a little laxed. And I'm sure Heupel got on them once they got back to the sideline.
I was watching games with George last night, and we determined that there should have been there needs to be a Ball State versus Hawaii matchup just so we can get a gauge of how bad these two teams are, just to see where Tennessee and Vanderbilt stand after dominating wins in the first game. But that's always what you're looking for, right? These signs of what's it going to mean when you get into the meat of your schedule, and sometimes you can figure some stuff out, and sometimes you can't.
I'm going to tell you this though, and this is an overreaction, but this is something that I have brought up on the show. When this is all said and done, I know this is Ball State. Hendon Hooker is going to be in the Heisman conversation. I'm just telling you.
We had this discussion yesterday. If you pile up, and in that offense, you can pile up numbers. Yeah. If he has some good games on the big stage to go along with really big offensive numbers, I think he can get into a conversation. I don't think he can win it, but I think he can.
I'm not saying
he
he's
can
necessarily
start
going to
getting
win
in that
it, but he's going to be in the conversation.
People might discuss it, and that can only be good.
They have to win those games in order for him, because people will look at it as if they don't win those tough games. It was a stat building game where they were behind and he had to throw the football. But the kid looked like he looks like the real deal. Now again, I have them picked to beat Georgia. They got to find, other pass catchers out there. But this team,
I mean, they got some good ones.
Yeah, they got some good ones, but it was good to see those in this situation versus Ball State. They were able to get everybody involved in the game and not just sort of concentrate on one guy. So that's good that they got the score up to a point where now they can start distributing the ball and getting some of these younger guys some experience.
I'll say this about the West Virginia game too. That pick 6 that I was telling you about, the receiver did something you would never do, and that is he let the ball hit him in the hands and it bounced off, and that's how it was a pick 6. You would never let that happen.
No, it's once it's in my hands, it's in my hands.
Yeah,
it's like glue,
you take
like Velcro.
That pick 6 was just devastating.
Oh,
devastating.
I said words.
I mean, you could not have made a better throw.
Clearly, I was invested in this game in many ways
for
entertainment purposes only. But I said words I can't say on the radio.
5 guys caught 3 passes or more. That's good distribution.
Yeah.
Within your offense.
You know what another theme for last night to me was? Just the seeing on the field the craziness of all of the transfer activity. Teams that have 40 new players, 45. Both quarterbacks in the backyard brawl originated at USC. This is Daniel's third stop. He went from there to Georgia and now to Pitt. I mean, you're a free agent every year almost. Yeah. Is how it works.
The portal
it's insane. But
portal is free agency. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Do you think that would have changed anything for you when you played?
Nah, I would have stayed in Michigan State. I mean, I was like any other freshman, I believe. When you think you're good enough to play, you get a little impatient. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I ever told that story where, it was after, I think it was the first game of the season or the Michigan game, somewhere around there. So it had to be almost towards in the middle of the season somewhere. And I thought that I had done enough to play, as a freshman. And I didn't get to play. I think I maybe played a couple plays on special teams.
But were you a redshirt or did?
No, I didn't redshirt.
Okay,
yeah, I
so
played
you
right
burned
off the bat.
First year.
Yeah, I burned my
much.
first year. Yeah, I mean, I played, but I wasn't playing as much as I thought I could. But I had guys in front of me that, hindsight, they were more experienced than me, especially in those big games. And I left campus. Me and my girlfriend at the time left, went to Chicago. I was not coming back to campus at all. I was gone a whole weekend. And they were calling my mom and dad, where is he? I wasn't answering the phone. And this was back when, the flip phones and all that. So we were not as easily accessible. And I think
But you had a flip phone?
My girlfriend at the time had one.
So that was your contact to the outside world.
So they end up contacting her, I believe, and we end up talking. My mom said, "You need to get your, back to college." That's where you need
Mama
to
was
go.
not happy.
Yeah, I am. So
Don't
I
worry
ended up
about
going
Coach. Worry
back.
about Mama.
And, Coach Perlis and I had a long talk, and subsequently I ended up playing a little bit more, but. But those are things that freshmen do.
Yep.
That when you come in and you think you're supposed to play, but then after that you realize, okay, it's a bigger picture.
Yes.
And then you kind of settle into what you're doing, and you go about your business. But I wouldn't have left Michigan State had they had the portal.
Well, Vols get the win last night. Next week is Pittsburgh. I think that'll be a good game, but I think Tennessee with that offense should win that game. To improve to 2-0, but we'll have a lot of time to discuss that. But it was a big day for the Titans yesterday. Some bad news coming out for them. We'll get Derek's thoughts on that as well. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Eddie George going to join us at 1 o'clock today. That'll be fun. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Joe Rexroad here for FanDuel, and folks, FanDuel wants you to be ready for game day when college football really gets rolling this week. It is rolling. Tennessee has rolled Ball State. We've had week 0. Now you got week 1 with a full slate of games, and new customers can get $150 in free bets guaranteed for week 1. Just place a $5 bet. You can get $150 in free bets. Win or lose, you can get in the same game parlay, live betting odds boost. If you want to do a national championship future, look, you're talking about obviously heavy favorites, but I mean Alabama to win it all. I feel good about that. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now's the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is easy to use. That's very big for me. It's safe. It's secure. You get paid fast. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code Joe102. Place $5 bet to get $150 in free bets guaranteed to kick off the college football season. Again, that's promo code Joe102. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is now available free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
Some people were made to follow the instructions. We were made to make our own. To always measure twice and never cut corners. Unless, of course, we've got a compound miter saw. Northern Tool and Equipment is a problem solver's paradise. There's nothing we can't find, fix, or figure out together. We're made for this. Start solving your projects today at northerntool.com.
Hey, homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willy Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage, whether you're buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Injuries on the job can be devastating to both employees and employers. Your employees are in pain, may lose wages, and want to get back to work. Your business has lost a worker and may not meet goals and profits. Houston Clinic Orthopedics offers an extensive workers' compensation program to your business and your employees. They will work with you from start to finish, managing everything from appointment scheduling through reimbursement. For more details, call Houston Clinic Orthopedics at 1-800-323-8858.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
I'm ready to step this up a notch.
You're listening to Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Willy Donick, Derek Mason here with you. You can call or text on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Big show today. We'll talk to Joe Dubin here at the bottom of the hour, get a high school football preview, but Richard Deitch from The Athletic, the media circus, we'll discuss some of that. Brett McMurphy is going to join us, talk some college football, and as mentioned, Eddie George at 1 o'clock. We'll also do Ask D-Mase today at 12:30, so get your questions for Derek ready to go. But a lot of questions for the Titans. So, Derek, we're sitting here yesterday. The news comes out around 1 o'clock that the Titans had reworked Derrick Henry's contract, basically moving some money around and going to give him a $2 million raise this year. And
$12 to $14 million.
We were a little curious of that. And then a few hours later, the news comes out that Harold Landry tore his ACL in practice on Wednesday, is out for the season for the Tennessee Titans. Then stuff kind of started to make a little more sense that you're moving money around to maybe try and find some sort of replacement. That's going to put more pressure on Bud Dupree. Rashad Weaver, the second-year player that we think is going to be pretty good. Obviously, he's going to get an expanded role. But what's your initial reaction learning that the top pass rusher for the Titans last year is out for the season?
I'm not going to say it's devastating. Because it's not one of these deals where, you got into the season, he was on pace again to be the leading sack getter, and then all of a sudden 5-6 games in he gets hurt, and now you're like, oh my goodness, what do we do? It's still going to be a big loss, but this is an opportunity for Weaver to come in and prove that he is that he's an NFL player, that he can come in and get the job done. That's why because I look at it from this standpoint. I was in the same position in 99, 2000, and Kevin goes down and everybody's thinking like, man, what are we going to do at receiver? And I get my opportunity, and off we go. This is the opportunity that Weaver has as well, to come in here and Rashad Weaver to come in here and pick up where Harold Landry left off. There's nothing saying he can't be a double-digit sack guy. And anybody that tells me he can't, you're lying to yourself because you don't know. This is a guy that when he has played, he's looked good.
Sure.
Now he gets to play as a starter. So let's see what he can do as a starter before we start, giving out the eulogies for the defense, okay? Let's see what Weaver can do. I believe they got enough players on that defensive line. Harold Landry is a loss, a significant loss. But it happened right at the beginning of the season. And they got enough guys on that defensive front that they slip Rashard Weaver in, and they go. They keep on. It's just like the next man up. We're going to keep on going. And that's how Vrabel looks at it. Will they bring in someone else? More than likely, yes. But I think right now Rashard Weaver is their starter at that position.
I was trying to do a little homework on this because when the Derrick Henry story came down, we were still on the air, and we were trying to just interpret it real time with what little reporting had been done on it in terms of details as to why they did it. And then, of course, we come to find out a couple hours later that the Landry thing had happened at practice. But I think if there was something brewing on the Henry contract front, when the Landry thing happened, it probably made a lot more sense to let's just move forward with it. So I think the two are somewhat connected.
Yeah.
So as far as Henry, in trying to give as basic an outlook as I can, because there's all kinds of nuances with contracts, as we know, with the NFL salary cap. It was comical hearing Jared try to spell it all out with Caroline on his show right after it happened. But what it does is, as we talked about yesterday, I think what we said was true. It's a vote of confidence. It's a vote of appreciation for Derrick Henry. It has Derrick Henry fully bought in to this year. We believe in you. We appreciate what you've done. You've taken a lot of lumps. You've represented the franchise well, and you're here. It also probably, based on the dead money increase of what it gives you down the road, it's a good bet that the Titans believe he will be on the roster next year. And that's a little bit of a risk because they could have been pretty cold-blooded and said, look, we want to just see where Derrick Henry is in a year. But Derrick, you have been very confident that we're going to see something close to Derrick Henry at his best in a bounce-back year. And I think the Titans, based on what they did, believe that. And in doing so, what they did with the contract gives them a little more flexibility to, at this outside linebacker issue that they have, they'll give Weaver some time, and it gives them some money if something else presents itself over the course of the next few weeks. Somebody they like, they have the cap flexibility now to go fill that, but they have some money to address it if that's what they want.
Here's a name I'll throw out at you, and I mean, look, this is probably the obvious one that has been batted around, and I don't know what he has left at this point in life in his career, but Jason Pierre-Paul was with Tampa Bay the last 4 years. Didn't really do that much in the sack department last year, only 2.5, but the year before in 2020 he had 9.5. So I don't know if that was the proverbial wall that he hit or just an off year, but he's available, and I don't think he would really cost you all that much.
No, you got him. You got D Ford out there.
D Ford's available.
They can make a trade and potentially go get a guy. There are several avenues that this team, and then I think Vrabel's first response is, okay, we've coached Rashard Weaver.
Sure.
We think he can get the job done. Give him his opportunity to see if he can be that guy that can fill in and be, close to what Harold Landry was, or be Harold Landry. So first they're going to do it within. And then after that, they're going to try to obviously bring in depth. So whether they get a Pierre-Paul or a D Ford or someone else, whoever they bring in will be for depth, because to me, their first and best option is Rashard Weaver because he knows the defense.
He should get the opportunity.
Exactly.
He's going to get every opportunity. And somebody reminded me of this this morning, is the versatility of Danico Autry. He can play out there some, and did play out there some last year. Remember all the issues that Bud Dupree had? Because I agree with you, Derek. I think they're going to start with the approach of, let's see what we have internally. Let's go next man up. Let's see what Weaver's got. The thing about Landry is he played a ton of snaps, right? Whereas Bud Dupree, he played some games where he, A, didn't finish the game, or B, had to be spotted, right? It took him a while. It took him almost 2/3, 3/4 of the season before he could really give them anything of note. So it's almost like it's the opposite this year. Like, I think you're hoping that Dupree is more of the guy that they signed, right, and can be an every down guy and be the force. Maybe he's the double-digit sack guy, and you're trying to work to fill what you thought you had in Dupree last year. Now you're filling Landry's spot. But between Weaver, Autry's versatility, I do like their depth in the middle of the defensive line. I think we all have been talking about that. And then, the Titans have been known to come up with, like, Adini had some good games, good spots of games last year as a fill-in over there. I think they got, by committee, a way to at least address it. They're not going to replace Harold Landry, but, I think they have some hope that they can get production over there. And they've been through it. They went through it last year with Dupree.
Vrabel has done, and the coaching staff have done an excellent job at coaching. And what I mean by coaching is they've gotten specific players, to give their all for a certain amount of plays. They give their all and their best for that 10 plays, and then now we're good. So I'm sure give me the best that you have for these 10, 15 plays. We're not asking you to play 40, 50 plays. We're asking you to play 10 to 15 plays. Give me your best. And guys have been doing that for Vrabel.
Look, I'm waiting for week 1 against the Giants. Titans run out of the tunnel, and Vrabel standing there on the sidelines with the shoulder pads on, wearing number 50, got his helmet.
Can he give him 10 plays?
I don't think Vrabel can give him 10 plays.
Maybe 3.
If he has to cover somebody, then nah. I think if you need him to just chuck somebody at the line of scrimmage, yeah, he can do that.
I mean, he's still a brick wall.
Yeah, but if he has to run in coverage, nah.
At 50 years old, Mike Vrabel becomes one of the oldest players in the league.
I like Vrabel to, hit you one good time, but the cover, nah, Vrabel, come on out. We got to get somebody else.
Vrabes. Hey, Vrabes. Yeah, Vrabes.
It's third down.
Out.
Come on out.
Nice. You're winded. Coming up next, we'll talk to Big Joe Dubin. Of course, he's co-host of the Game Blitz. You can hear that tonight starting at 6. We'll preview some high school football games. We'll do that next. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase up and running on a Friday. 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
This is Phil Tomasino, and this is Smashville.
Cousins put it in front of the score. Tomasino lofts it in. 2-0 Nashville.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Save big this Labor Day at Electronic Express. Get a Samsung 65-inch 4K TV for only $599, or an LG laundry pair for $599 each. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department: computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on a Microsoft Surface Pro 8 bundle for just $899, or an Xbox Series S bundle for only $379. Shop in-store or online with up to 36 months free financing. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
At Cromwell Media, we take great pride in the tenure of our team. This month, big shout-outs go to 2 members of our sales team, Jeff Colt for 11 years and Matt Saggio for 6 years. Thanks, guys. Jared Cassidy, a part-time producer for 102.5, 106.3 The Game, has been a teammate for 3 years. Finally, audio engineer Ladarius Robinson and Tina Jackson in our corporate office are celebrating their first anniversaries. Want to be part of our success? Send us a note at together@cromwellmedia.com and tell us about yourself. We could be celebrating you next year.
Technology lets you monitor your dog over your phone as he destroys your couch. But to monitor threats to your hybrid workforce, you need more than technology. You need CDW to assess risks and arm your team with pre-configured HP notebooks equipped with HP Wolf Security. AI-enabled threat detection, built-in security, and remote management keep your endpoint safe 24/7. Unlike that antique vase, HP makes always-on remote security possible. CDW makes it powerful. Learn more at cdw.com/HP.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series at First Horizon Park against the Memphis Redbirds.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Sounds win.
Coverage begins at 6:50.
On your home for Sounds Baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
High school football tonight. The Game Blitz gets underway at 6 o'clock on these airwaves. Join Big Joe Dubin and Elijah Campbell for the Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy. 6 to midnight, they'll preview the big games, then take you through a night of high school football around the Mid-State. The Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz, presented by National Playmakers Academy on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. We say hello to Big Joe Dubin. Joe, I'm going on Fox 17 tonight to talk high school football, so can I just book myself as a guest on the Game Blitz?
Yeah, how dare you go against me tonight? How dare you, Chase? You can't do that.
Well, I mean, TV, radio, it's, I'll promote the Game Blitz.
Right, yeah, TV, radio, streaming, it's all completely different, so thank you for that. But no, let me say this before we go any further. Really so excited and proud of the last 2 weeks. All the coaches and writers and everybody that's called in has really embraced this show. We've had a lot of fun, a lot of cool guests on the show, and I couldn't be more excited. So, Chase, thank you and everybody at Cromwell for getting this show back on the air, because it's going so much better than I ever imagined. I knew it would go great, but it's going fantastic, so thank you for that.
I want to start with this. You had a guest, I believe it was last week, somebody very near and dear to you. How is Walt Wells? I know you've been providing updates, but I know it's been a tough week, but I think things are looking good.
Yeah, so we had Coach Wells on the Game Blitz last Friday night and had a great interview. We went to McGattick together, and, he's head coach at Eastern Kentucky. And then I got word Saturday morning that he had a major cardiac episode. Well, he had a heart attack, and I'm going to say he's a miracle that he's here. Thank the good Lord above, and praise Jesus that he survived, and wonderful doctors and wonderful trainers who basically saved his life, man. And it's been a quite emotional 4 days. I mean, that's my best friend, right? And so,
sure.
You get word that what happened, you're thinking, oh my goodness. And I'll put it this way, and this is why I thank the Lord. I probably should have been giving his eulogy yesterday. Instead, I get a text message that he's going home and that he's okay. So, so thank you for asking, Chase.
Oh, he's been in our thoughts and prayers. I'm so glad to hear that. And, I've met Walt a few times over the years through you and the things you've told me about him. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he's on the sideline next week coaching his football team.
Right. Well, they play tonight and take on Eastern Michigan tonight. So, he's at home, and I'm sure he'll be watching, but hopefully he'll just be watching and not taking a lot of duress watching his football team play. But I know it's difficult. That's his team. But he's good. He's home. Thank God.
So week 3 of high school football gets underway tonight. Well, we had a handful of games last night in Pearl Cone, running all over Hillwood, 58-0. Cane Ridge beats McGavick 35-7. But what are some games that you're paying attention to tonight of interest?
Well, you got to go to Murfreesboro. Blackman and Riverdale is a huge game. Riverdale is out 2-0. Anytime these Murfreesboro schools play each other, it's a big deal. And Blackman had a tough loss against Brentwood in first game of the season. They beat Gallatin last week in a very exciting game. So Riverdale, they have to go to Riverdale, and it's always a battle between these two schools. Great head coaches, good programs. Riverdale's got the number 1 player in the state. So this is kind of the marquee game tonight. It's our Game Blitz game of the week, Blackman and Riverdale, because the winner there obviously gets the upper hand in the region. I mean, all those teams are going to make the playoffs anyway, but for seeding-wise, this is a big deal. Those schools are so close to each other. These kids all know each other. The parents all know each other. They all hang out in the summertime together. As we say before, this is much more than a football game. This is serious bragging rights already in week 3 of the season. That is a huge game. to look at tonight as well. Also up in Sumner County, Hendersonville Beach. That's just like Blackman Riverdale. These kids know each other. They went to middle school together, elementary school together. That's a huge football game for those two schools tonight. So if you're looking for two games out of the county, you got to go see those games tonight. And always, we talk about getting to a metro school and seeing schools within the city. There's a big game tonight going over at Stratford East, as East hosts Stratford tonight. That's a big game. That's always a neighborhood battle as well. A lot of fun. So if you want to get a game in Metro tonight, check out Stratford, East Nashville. I will tell you, it'll be absolutely packed over there tonight, and it's always a lot of fun. Those are three games tonight we're looking forward to seeing.
Joe, just along those lines, I texted you guys at halftime of the East game because I live, very close to East High School. They were, rolling in their game. I discovered something I'd never seen before. I drove up an alley, and I was thinking, if I drive up this alley, I might be able to see the field. Well, I wasn't the only guy who had that idea. They have this awesome row of people who park, they tailgate, and they watch the game. It's like an end zone seat, and they watch the East game. It's just a great scenic shot. The moon was kind of in the background. It was amazing. I was like, hey, maybe I've discovered something that nobody knows. Well, I couldn't get a parking spot. I had to stay and just look out my window. But that's going to be a fun atmosphere tonight.
We described you, Willie, when you texted in that you're no longer the TV voice of the Preds. You're now our young Game Blitz reporter. We appreciate you with that text the other night. We appreciate that. But, no, you're right. That's a great spot. I've shot a football game there before because you're right in the end zone, basically, and you're a little elevated, and you look right down the field. Now, I'm sure East will not like the fact that people are not paying to get in, because I wouldn't. But that's all. But you're still there, and you're supporting the kids, and it's a lot of fun, and people enjoying it, so you cannot go wrong with that. That's a great place to watch a game.
Now, Big Joe, could there be any upsets this Friday?
Well, you know what? It's week 3, so usually, Derek, what you see is about week 5 in high school football, the good teams start separating from the bad. It happens really quickly. So these first couple of games are the first weeks of the season, not so much. But here's the deal. Tonight, a lot of games are within the region. So if you're playing a team out of region and you lose, it's not that, it still hurts, but it's not the end of the world. If you lose to a team within your region, that's a big deal. And so you look at these teams who think, all right, we might go 0-5 outside the region, but if we can knock off all these big schools inside the region, then we're going to do really good. So there's a bunch of games tonight that fall. There's a bunch of games that fall within the region kind of scope tonight. So those are games you got to look forward to see what's going to happen. Because, again, you start seeing a little bit tonight of pulling away, but by week 5, you see who's going to be good, who's not going to be good. So these first couple of weeks in the region, you've got to play your tail off. That's why a game like Blackman and Riverdale is so big, because that is a region game. Hendersonville and Beach the same way. Those games are huge on the schedule. You got Ravenwood at Franklin tonight. Independence and Centennial. Centennial's had a great start. They'd love to knock off Independence to get up, kind of leg up on them in the region. So those are the kind of games we'll pay attention to in week 3.
Joe, I have people ask me sometimes, how in the world did those guys do 6 hours of high school coverage? And if people hear this interview, they can tell why. You've got so many teams in so many different spots, the city teams, the private schools, and then the rural teams. And that's what I love about it. I want to ask you about one that it was not last Friday, but it's almost like a different category of its own. What's happening over at Lipscomb? They're almost doing like a national thing. Like there's some telecasts of some high school games, and they beat a team from down in Alabama. It was a pretty exciting win for Lipscomb. So what do you make of that?
Well, they're back home tonight, taking on good passes. Here's the problem, and I talked to Kevin Creasy with this at Oakland. A lot of schools don't want to schedule out of region. You got to play your region games. Don't want to play the Lipscombs in the Oakland. You got to go. Oakland had to go play a team from Mississippi last week. One of the best teams in Mississippi that won the state title several times the last couple of years. So Lipscomb's kind of the same way. Nobody wants to play them out of region. If I'm a coach and they're not my region, I want every bit of Trent Dilfer you can give me. I want to play that school and see what I've got, see how I match them against them. But unfortunately, a lot of schools are like, hey, you know what? We know we're going to get beat. We're not going to do that. I don't like that way of thinking, Willie. Not at all, because I think it puts your kids down. I want to compete. Derek knows this. You're a competitor. You want to play against the best people you can find, and who knows what happens. But Lipscomb is on a different level. I mean, they got to play Oakland, I think, later in the season. That's going to be a fun game. But Trent Dilfer has built a machine over there, and Good Pasture is in for a tough night tonight. But again, Friday night, you never know what could happen.
Well, JoJo, we'll be listening starting at 6 o'clock tonight. Appreciate the time as always. You and Elijah and company have a blast tonight.
All right, thanks, boys. Appreciate you.
Big Joe Dubin, the Game Blitz gets underway. The Apple Collision Center's Game Blitz gets underway tonight at 6 right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Coming up next, we got to work this in, Willie. One of my Bravos had a big night last night.
Oh, man, it was unbelievable.
Got to talk about this.
Oh, we will.
For sure. But first, D-Mase, you got a word about Bet US. Are you ready for that, or you need a second?
No, I am absolutely ready.
All right,
100%.
you go.
He's always ready. He's just like the story. When
I was born ready.
When Kevin Dyson went down, who was ready? D-Mase was ready.
D-Mase was ready.
Hey, you got to be ready. Can't get ready.
I got to remember that. That's good. I got to use that slogan.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Absolutely. Attention, sports fans. Your favorite sport book, BetUS.com, is back for their 28th year of NFL action with the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%. Yes, that's 200%, people. BetUS offers their members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite leagues, including NBA, NFL, MLB, and more. They've got hundreds of new casino games, including the coolest European slots, and their live dealers are waiting for you at the tables. European slots, I need to check that out. You need a sport book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know that you will get paid. You need a sport book that offers everything, including live betting. Who doesn't like that? MMA, big sport, golf, horse racing, esports, and all kinds of crazy bets. When they talk about crazy bets, yeah, they got some crazy ones on there. Call today at 1-800-79-BET-US. That's 1-800-79-BET-US. And they will walk you through setting up your account. It's easy, people. Nobody in the industry gives better bonuses than BetUS. Join now. Mention 1025, and you can get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Again, 200%, not 100, but 200. Nobody beats that. Head to BetUS.com and join today. That's BetUS, where the games begin.
Silly Underdog Picks is back. Get your friends and sign up today at thegamenashville.com. Pick the 3 football underdog teams each week you think will win for a chance to win weekly prizes. Like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Oh, yeah! Go to thegamenashville.com or the Game Nashville app and sign up and play now. Then tune in every Thursday at noon for our expert picks. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast for today, low 90s, a little more humid than the last 2 days, and the possibility of a few pop-up showers and weak thunderstorms east of I-65. Scattered showers and storms likely for your Saturday and Sunday.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
It's Family Leisure's 30th annual Labor Day sale.
End of summer clearance items like pools and rafts and pool toys to our new indoor products like massage chairs and theater seating.
Save up to 40% off on all new patio furniture. Save up to 70% on display model and discontinued items.
Family Leisure has truckloads of spas arriving daily. There are even some scratch and dent spas on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Home theater seating. 3-piece sets start at only $9.99. That's Family Leisure's Labor Day sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
It's bedtime at the home of SiriusXM, but Conan O'Brien is still awake.
Turns out you don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen to the app anywhere, in your room, by the pool, at the
And Brad Paisley just really needs his beauty sleep.
Conan, I just really need my beauty sleep. Maybe really expensive boat, like a yacht.
The waves could rock you gently to sleep.
Don't encourage him, guy.
Sorry. Night-night. Everything you want to hear lives here on SiriusXM. Get the SiriusXM app now.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Tired of companies like Google and Facebook watching everything you do online? There's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more, all for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with a push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Robbie Stanley.
They get a lead in that game and just totally close the door.
Joe Rexrode.
If he plays next year, it's disastrous.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Called to tighten up. This is the music we tighten up with. First, tighten up on the drum. Come on now, drummer. I want you to tighten it up for me now. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Archie Bell and the Drells bringing us back with some tighten up. We got to tighten up on a Friday.
Yeah.
Like, that's the slogan from D-Mase in light of the Harold Landry injury.
Yeah.
You got to be ready. You can't just get ready. You be ready. So John Robinson and the Titans, they're ready. They have their plan B. They'll address it going forward.
And I'm glad you're ready to bring it back in.
Well, I was ready to bring it back, and the reason we went with tighten up is it's a double meaning, right? We're talking about the Titans, but also my microphone.
Yeah, need to tighten
Chase,
it up.
this is the message, the secret message to our staff here. We got to tighten up this microphone. I can't get in the shot with the Zoom because it just it won't stay tight. It's loose.
I hate it when that happens.
Tighten up, Willie.
Come on, we got to tighten up over here.
It needs.
But Chase, do you remember this game? I think it was. This is the game that I'm thinking of. It was the first year of the Titans. I can't remember exactly which game, but I think it was the Thursday night game against the Raiders. Eddie George had a huge game. It was on the national stage. It was a big win for the team. But Bud Adams brought in Archie Bell and the Drells. Archie Bell is from Houston. And, of course, with the name change from the Oilers to the Titans, the song fit. You know, it's not spelled Titan. It's Titan like you would tighten screws. But, he changed the words. He was ad-libbing there, talking to the drummer, the bass player. It's a great song, but he turned it into Eddie George and Steve McNair need to tighten up. The crowd just loved it.
Oh, that's right.
It was fantastic.
Well, there you go.
Great moment from the past.
Eventually, they did. We
did.
did.
You guys tightened up? Yeah.
We'll talk to Eddie
but
George.
But the microphone right now is still loose.
I
still
know.
loose.
I don't know what's wrong with
It's a daily exercise to try to get it to stay. It's not happening.
Hey, well, that's something that
we'll overcome it.
You look forward to coming to work.
So big night last night in Atlanta for the Braves, and most notably Spencer Strider, the rookie, who Willie might end up winning Rookie of the Year. I think there's a lot of candidates in the National League for sure, but he's had an awesome rookie year. 16 strikeouts last night, a Braves record.
Yeah, nobody's ever struck out 16. 0 walks, by the way.
Know.
16 strikeouts, no walks.
2 hits.
Just dominated. Spencer Strider is from Clemson, and he looks like the more he pitches, he's not wearing down at all. Sometimes you worry about a rookie who throws that hard. If he loses a little bit late in the season, that clearly is not happening to him, but total domination in a good win for the Braves yesterday. And the Braves and Mets keep pushing each other. Mets got a big win. They won the series against the Dodgers, which nobody had done. Nobody had won a series from the Dodgers in several weeks. And the Mets eked it out. So Mets still lead by 3. The Mets now go into a pretty soft part of their schedule. So the race continues. But Spencer Strider.
Braves have the Marlins this weekend.
Yeah. So, they're going to keep pushing each other. Like I've been saying, I think both are going to win 100. I'm wondering, too, in the playoff series, with the way Strider's pitching, where do you figure he goes? I don't know if he's game 1, but because he's so young. But game 2, I got to get him in there, right? If they're in a 2 out of 3, he's got to be in one of those 3.
I would think so. I think you have to go to him.
You can't put a price on a guy who can just dominate like that. Now, if he's off a little bit, that's the catch-22. A rookie in that spot, how does he react? But when you can dominate like that, that is such a huge weapon to have.
Yeah, and Austin Riley hits his 33rd home run of the year as well, as he's very much in the MVP race. So that's your your baseball report for the day. But, again, a tight race in the National League East.
Let's go Mets.
Yes, there you go, D-Mace. There's room on our bandwagon.
I'm just messing with you, Chase. I'm just messing with you, Chase.
The Tigers, we're going to jump. I'll jump on the Tigers bandwagon when the time comes. You
next
jump on
hour,
the Mets bandwagon.
I will say, let's go Braves, okay? It's just going back and forth, man. Got to make both of y'all happy.
Stir it up.
We talked about Harold Landry and Derrick Henry a little bit, but Derrick, you weighed in on it some yesterday during Underdog Picks, but the Titans signing Josh Gordon to the practice squad, what exactly that means. Now, I think with the rules the way they are, it allows teams, and John Robinson I think has done a good job with this, to be able to use the practice squad to bring in some veteran guys. Adrian Peterson was on it. You kind of see what they have, and then if you feel like they're good enough to help your team, then you can elevate them up to the main roster. So it's very low risk and could be high reward. But Josh Gordon, we know his off-the-field stuff with the marijuana. Didn't really do anything for the Chiefs last year. Didn't make it out of camp with the Chiefs. So he comes in. He's on the practice squad. What do you think he has left?
One, I want to commend this young man because, he's put himself in situations where, his dream could have been completely taken away. And, yes, he's had some setbacks, and we all do. But he's continuing to battle and he's continuing to, try to put himself in a position to continue to live out his dream, and that's to play football. So I want to commend him on that at first. But, I texted you guys yesterday before I came on. I said, this kid, man, he was a budding star. He had the ability to be the best receiver in the National Football League. He had almost 2,000 yards. Look at these stats. 14 games, 1,600 yards, almost 20 yards of reception with 9 touchdowns in his second season with the Cleveland Browns. This kid was on his way to being the best receiver in the National Football League.
Yep.
And, he chose to, value his entertainment over his profession, meaning his entertainment, meaning marijuana, because it's illegal in the NFL. But he chose that over being one of the best receivers in the National Football League. Now, he's went through his ups and downs, and Kansas City gave him an opportunity last year, and, for whatever reason, it just didn't work. Now he's getting another opportunity here. Like you said, Chase, it's one of those deals where if it works, great. Everybody's happy. But if it doesn't work, okay, we tried. Sure. We moved on. We wasn't looking for him. We didn't bring him in here to save the receiver room. We brought him in for depth and hoping that he can get somewhere close to even half of what he was in 2013. A guy that can add depth, production, so if they can get something out of him, great. If they can't, they tried. I've seen a, message board saying, yeah, Josh, y'all don't know how this works.
Yeah,
y'all don't know how this
he may not even
exactly.
play.
Everyone's so hype and so gung-ho about this signing. Y'all don't know how this league works, okay? He's on a practice squad, and he's going to be on there for at least a couple of games until he learns the offense. And then they can see what they have in Josh Gordon.
Well, I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they activated him for the Giants game.
I wouldn't
be shocked at all if they didn't.
If he can learn the offense or learn a package, and they feel comfortable with him, they'll bring him up. But if they don't feel comfortable with him, I think Mike Vrabel, Downing, John Robinson, I think they're okay with leaving him on the practice squad and going with the guys that are on the active roster as far as the wide receiver position. Yep. So, it's a good move. It's not a, the end-all, be-all move. It's a good move if it works. If it doesn't work, it's still a good move. You try, it didn't work, move on.
What's your sense of a receiver like him who's been a lot of places, and everybody's different, but for a guy who's been around as long as he has, how quick could he learn the playbook?
It shouldn't take him a long time. he's only played 7 NFL seasons. But he's been out but he's over a course of like 10 years.
Yeah, he's missed a lot of time.
So it shouldn't take him, half the season to learn the playbook, because again, a lot of these plays kind of translate from one team to the next. The verbiage might be different, but the route concept is the same. So, I am almost confident that he can learn enough of the playbook where, like I said, maybe in 2-3 weeks they can activate him.
I'm curious to see if he gains some traction each day he's out there at practice, because you would think he's going to need to pick it up quick. He needs to make a good impression if he's going to be in the plan, especially for week 1 while there's an opportunity out there. Did you run across guys that surprised you in how quick they learned the playbook, and maybe some other guys who have been in the league just as long but take longer to absorb? Like, I would think just the way we learn and way we absorb information, all of us are different in how we process that.
Yeah,
right?
Some guys process it. Listen, I'm a guy that, I get it. You can throw it at me in the classroom, and I get it. But I really learn it once I get on the field and start going through it. That's when it kind of really sinks in. I've seen guys that, can spend hours in the classroom, and they know it, and then they get on the field and they do something wrong. They line up on the wrong side. They can answer all the questions right, and then when they get out on the field, it's just something totally different. Now, I've seen guys that have a hard time in the classroom, but once they run through it a few times in practice, they got it.
I saw
They're
some
ready
guys
to go.
at Vanderbilt that I played basketball with. We had a pretty detailed system, and I saw some guys who would struggle in the classroom, right?
Yeah.
But they could tell you everything about our system. And then the opposite was true too. Some guys who were A-plus students on the honor roll, toughest classes academically, but couldn't get the plays right. They couldn't go to the right spot at the right time, and they couldn't play because of that.
Well, it's a different type of learning.
It is. That's what you figure out.
Exactly. It's a different type of learning, and these guys are capable of learning it. They have the IQ to learn it. But it's just, how do you learn it? Is it more in the classroom, or do you got to go out on the actual field, basketball court, baseball field, to actually, allow it to stick? So I think he'll be okay. I think the biggest thing is, once you get in that position this late in your career and you're on practice squads, and it's hard. It's just hard to you got to do something extraordinary to get yourself moved up, because essentially that's minor leagues, the practice squad. So it takes a lot to move up, man. But I wish the guy nothing but good luck, and I hope he is on the active roster pretty soon.
Coming up next, it is a big weekend of college football, and obviously a lot of, even though we're talking about the games, there's been a lot of discussion about TV deals and media rights. What's next? Richard Deitch of The Athletic will get his thoughts on all of that, plus the NFL coming up next week. That's up next. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
He scores! Philip Forsberg!
We talk the game.
Philip Forsberg stays here in Nashville, hearing the deal is done. 8 years, close to $70 million total.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, summer's over, but is that joint pain still there? Well, it's time to do something. Willy Donick here, and I want to tell you about QC Kinetics. You've put it off long enough. It's time to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, your back, your shoulder, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. Regenerative medicine uses highly concentrated healing properties from your own body, and it restores and repairs the damaged joint tissue. Plus, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting breakthrough natural approach to eliminating joint pain. Lots of people here have done this, and they're living life to the fullest, pain-free. So don't assume that the old ways of dealing with joint pain are the only ways. Stop putting it off. Call for a free consultation, 615-249-4024.
That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics. Once again, 615-249-4024. Hey, Willy Donick here. Are you feeling the sting of higher interest rates and higher costs? Those credit cards and other loans are costing more and more every month, and inflation is making everything else more expensive. Your home can save you right now. Your home value is up, and there's a ton of cash in it that you can access with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off those 23% rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut $800 or more from their monthly budget. If your home mortgage rate goes up a point or so, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. So call Loan Pronto now and unlock that equity and wipe out the bad debt. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Now let's see if we can bring them to life, all right?
Bringing you entertainment and informative sports talk during your workday.
Smart, funny, classy, and I like him a lot.
This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase with Chase McCabe, Willy Donick,
Mason, touchdown, Tennessee.
and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
This is a new level of geek you got going on here.
11 o'clock hour, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We're streaming on the Game Nashville app as well. You can also watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook every day. Our video streaming is presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Chase McCabe, Willy Donick, Derek Mason with you. We say hello to our buddy Richard Deitch of The Athletic. Richard, how you doing?
You know, when I first started doing the show back in 1927 or whatever it was, there was no video streaming. There was no Twitch. There was no law office sponsoring all this. Look at you guys forged into the 21st century as a multimedia player. So congrats on all that.
Look, we're just trying to be like these, these Power 5 conferences, get big TV deals and things like that. That's what we're working towards, Richard. Yeah,
I mean this with no disrespect, but I'm thinking the law office still maybe a little less zeros than the Big Ten. But these are good dreams and goals to have, no doubt.
So the SEC signs their big deal with Disney and ESPN that's going to kick in, and then the Big Ten does this gigantic deal with Fox, NBC, and CBS that's going to kick in that kicks ESPN out of having the Big Ten. What do you think the next shoe to drop is going to be when it comes to these college football television deals?
Well, I mean, the next deal either is the Big 12 or the Pac-12. Like, I'm no genius to come up with that. Big 12 put out a statement that they were negotiating or they're open for business. ESPN quickly saying we're not negotiating. I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in the middle. But both those conferences will eventually get some kind of short to long-term deal. The real question, of course, is, like, what are those conferences? Like, will the Pac-12, like what we see as of today, as we're talking at this early September 2022, like, is that going to be the conference in the next year or the next two? It's the same thing with the Big 12. Will we see any more expansion? Now, the Big 10 says that it's not expanding. I don't know whether to believe that or not. You know, I as a general rule, I don't believe college administrators. I feel like that's a very good guide just in life. And then if they surprise me by telling the truth, like, it's a good day. So I'm not really sure where to go with that. But the next dominoes, quote unquote dominoes to fall, will be Big 12 and Pac-12 will sign deals. I think because ESPN, depending on how you want to frame it, either opted not to to do business with the Big Ten because they were not satisfied with the deal, or the Big Ten said ESPN opted, or the Big Ten saying that they didn't need ESPN to do their deal. I think it's very clear that ESPN absolutely needs more college football inventory. They want to maintain that monopoly. The West Coast is very important to them, I think, in terms of windows, particularly late-night windows on the East Coast for them. So I think for sure ESPN gets in on one of those conferences in a massive way. My guess would be they'd get in on both. And then I think Fox is probably a player in one of the in one of those two conferences as well. And then lastly, I would think the Pac-12, just because it's Silicon Valley, has a lot of people in the sort of the streaming world. I think they do some kind of deal with Apple or Amazon for part of their inventory as well. That would be, if I had to guess today, that's sort of my guess how it plays out.
Okay, that's the perfect segue into my next question, because Apple, Amazon, you have ESPN Plus, all the Peacock, Paramount Plus, all of these streaming entities that are connected to networks in some ways, that they are taking over. And we've seen the Thursday night football package for the NFL. That has gone to streaming to Amazon. It looks like Apple is going to land NFL Sunday Ticket. And I bring all this up because we did a poll question last week asking how many Titans games are you going to attend this year? And the results didn't really surprise me, but it was an interesting, discussion piece because people basically said anywhere from 1 to 5, somewhere in that range. But that's about it. And a lot of people reference that they can sit on their couch and watch all the games and, see it.
There's an option for 0, and a surprising number of people signed up for 0. Like, I don't know if it was 50%, but it was a sizable number. Just said, I'm not going to any games.
Right. So how much are these deals and these streaming packages hurting attendance because it's just so much easier to be able to watch whatever you want to watch from your couch?
All right, so there's, there are college courses that could do a whole semester on all your questions there. So, but let's take, just because it's like, the landscape is changing. But here's what I would say, because let's use the Titans, because you guys brought that up. That's actually an interesting result for the survey. The NFL has, made a decision that while they're in the streaming business now with Amazon, their primary business is still linear television, right? Like, look who they signed their deals with. They sign it with Fox, that's over the air. They sign it with CBS, that's over the air. They sign it with NBC, that's over the air. They have ESPN, ABC. I guess ESPN is not over the air, but it's traditional cable. And they do have that Thursday night package now that went to Amazon. But the reality is, and I can tell you this because I obviously talked to all these executives, it's not like there was a big heavy bidding for Thursday night football. I mean, Fox, CBS, they've all had it at this point. NFL Network has had it. So the NFL, at least, is still sort of very much how we watch traditional television. And then to get to your point, well, okay, why would Titans fans not want to go to 8 games versus 0 games? Well, price is not cheap anymore. You guys are in Nashville's a big city with big city prices, so it's not necessarily the easiest thing for a family of 3 or 5 buddies to go to. I think the NFL is sort of, I want to say they're not family friendly, but let's face it, NFL games, particularly tailgate situations, it's kind of a very different feel than taking some little kids to baseball games. It's just they're sort of in attendance audience is a little bit different than some other sports, and they're cool with that. And then lastly, and this is the big one, the ability to sort of get the games at the highest level of viewability. So you're talking about if you have a great smart TV in 4K, you have all the luxury of just sort of sitting in your, favorite room with food coming to you, with the ability to watch Red Zone so you can see, 7 different games at once. The NFL and its business partners have really made the television experience so great that you can make an argument, unless you really love to be out there and watching it live, and unless you really want to hang out with your buddies, if you want to literally watch the game itself, it's actually not close. Watching the game on television is a 20 times better experience than watching it at a stadium, just because even if you have the best seats in the house, 50-yard line or whatever, you're not seeing everything. Hard to get, you're not getting replays, generally speaking, right away, unless you're, in a suite that has a television or something like that. So I think, the NFL made a calculation in many ways, and probably a smart one, was that we're going to make the television experience as best as possible. Thus, we're going to get the billions of dollars from these media companies. And if we end up losing a little bit of attendance, like the loss of that isn't going to be close to what we just made in viewership. And then lastly, I know I'm sort of rambling here, what the NFL will do for sure, and all these places are already doing it, they will try to make the stadium experience, best in class, which means like the best kind of Wi-Fi. You'll, at a certain point, 10, 15, 20 years from now, you'll probably be able to bet from your seat, which has some kind of electronic device. So all that stuff's going to come. But at the moment, I don't blame fans for watching at home. Honestly, it's just a more relaxing, better experience.
Yeah, you're right about that, Richard. We're talking with Richard Deitch of The Athletic, and you can catch his podcast out on Apple, the Sports Media podcast. Now, Richard, the U.S. Open is going on, and obviously this is Serena's last go. She beat the number 2 player in the world last week, and now she plays, I believe, Tomljanovic today.
I don't even know
how
you say
right.
it.
Yeah.
It looks like Tomljanovic. It sounds easier to
exactly.
say Tomljanovic. I don't even know how to say it.
But the ratings on this, do you expect this to be the highest ratings U.S. Open has gotten in some years? And do you think it will trickle down into the men's as well?
First of all, D-Mase, I have to get up from the heart attack I just had. A Nashville station talking U.S. Open tennis. I'm proud of you guys. This is like a huge moment for me. It's not college football or the NFL. Finally, my dream. It's taken 30 years, but the South finally will embrace the U.S. Open tennis.
Hey, listen, we can talk about all sports because you are, you know it all.
I'm busting on you. So the viewership for the first 2 nights that Serena's played has been off the charts. Night 1, where I think a lot of people thought, she may lose, and obviously they were going to do a ceremony. Second most watched first night in ESPN's history of doing the U.S. Open. And the first night is a relatively new phenomenon because back in the day, CBS didn't do, like, the first night of the tournament. They did weekends. So, essentially, the second most watched first night of the U.S. Open in history. That's a big, big number. The match that you just had to advance past the second round, again, did major business. Multiple millions of people watching. I don't think it set a record, but, again, I think it was over 2.5 million or around there. Again, I can tell you, someone who covered tennis for a long time at SI and obviously covers media, these are insane numbers for early in the U.S. Open. It doesn't exist. So as long as Serena's playing, and again, she plays tonight, the numbers will be off the charts. They're not – I don't think they would pass, let's say, a final like between Serena and Venus, or a final between Serena and someone, or Federer and Nadal. But you're basically going to get finals-like numbers every time Serena plays, which again is, I could tell you, someone who's covered tennis a long time, that's unheard of. I don't think it will filter to the men, to be honest. The reality is the 2 of the best draws for the U.S. Open for men are not playing, and that's Novak Djokovic, obviously, for vaccination reasons, and Roger Federer for injury reasons. Nadal's playing, and he's a draw, but Rafa Nadal versus, some European that the general U.S. audience doesn't know about isn't going to do it. Where tennis is hurt on the men's side at the moment is that there's not a big U.S. men's star. Like, that person doesn't exist. And, as good as, like, John Isner is against, like, the rest of the world, or as good as, like, someone like Taylor Fritz is, these are top 20 players, obviously incredibly accomplished. They don't move the needle viewership-wise at all. No one's tuning in to see them yet. So if you had Federer and Nadal and Djokovic and Serena, you'd probably be looking at maybe the greatest first week ever viewership-wise of any major, because you just have the 3 biggest stars in the men's game in the last 15, 20 years, and obviously you have Serena, who's incredible. So to answer your question, D-Mase, no, it's not. The viewership number is like the whole night, so they get the benefit of like Serena's gigantic number when people are watching her. But like if I don't have it in front of me, but I can guarantee, like if I broke it down like from Serena playing and then the match after Serena, which I think night 1 was Kyrgios, I bet you they lost 1.5 million viewers the second she was done. So it's not carrying over. But regardless, Serena's story, it doesn't often happen in tennis, but this is a story that transcends the sport. So you have casual fans, people who generally never watch tennis ever. They're probably sort of checking it out and following. And if she could somehow get to the second week, that's when they might be looking at 4 or 5 million people for second week matches. Which again, that's incredible. I mean, that's like a low-level Stanley Cup Finals game. I mean, this just doesn't happen in tennis. So it's a big story developing, and we'll see how she does tonight.
Yeah, and I would tell people just flip over there, even if you're not a tennis watcher, just watch the crowd. The crowd is amazing.
Yeah,
you'll see a who's who in the crowd, and they react to every point. Richard,
can I just tell you guys real quick? Let me just tell you real quick. I know we're short on time, but you'll appreciate this. So I covered tennis for Sports Illustrated when I was there for, I think it was 14 or 15 years of my tenure there. And a couple times, because it was a very big publication, we'd get seats in the first row. There's like 5 media seats in the first row, and they'd usually lottery it up. But SI sometimes got, let's face it, favored nation status. To see these players that close, people have no idea like how good the 300th best player is, let alone Serena. So if you have any dudes who like ever come up to you and be like, oh, I watched Serena the other day, I could take a point off her, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're insane. Not only could you not take a point off her, the likelihood is you can sell her an ice cream. So relax and enjoy the trip.
Yeah.
Sorry for the film.
No, you're right. My grandfather used to take me to the matches when I was a kid too. That's the first thing you notice is how much harder they hit the ball than it looks on TV.
Yes.
But Richard, real quick, I want you to hit on your podcast. Of course, I have maybe more of an interest than many on the workings of a play-by-play announcer. But your interview with Leah Hextall was really compelling. I was aware of some of the stuff that was going on with her, the challenges that, any female play-by-play announcer in their first year would logically get. But, wow, to hear her talk about her firsthand experience, that was really good stuff. And tough when you try to put yourself in her shoes.
Yeah, no, first of all, I appreciate you listening, so thank you. And I appreciate Leah Hextall giving me just trusting me to let her tell her story. So, again, it is more than okay to criticize a female broadcaster or a male broadcaster, but a female broadcaster if you don't like their play-by-play, their style, whatever. I would argue that someone like Leah Hextall has so much institutional things against her because there's no minor leagues for her. Most, as you know this, Willy, so many of the jobs, like in minor league baseball, minor league hockey, minor league basketball, they're male announcers. They're not women, so there's not a pipeline. So if you're Leah Hextall, you got hired by ESPN, you got sort of put on the big time right away. And in many ways, you got to learn on the job, which the reality is men don't always have to do. But the real thing with this, and this is where it gets pretty gross, is she not only got social media vitriol pretty much every time she was on the air, and maybe I guess the reality of Twitter is, you're on it, everybody gets it. But that included death threats eventually, where people would track down her website and send that to her directly, including one guy who basically said that, like, I'm going to blow your brains out so I don't have to hear you call a hockey game again. Now, like, the reality is, like, I'm sure law enforcement can tell you that you take all these threats seriously, and you do. And thankfully, I would imagine most of them are just anonymous jerks who are never going to follow up on it. But, like, what if the 1 in 10 million person is the crazy person who does? And how do you just deal with that as a broadcaster when you're just trying to prepare to call a regular hockey game, as you know about? And you got to think about somebody who just declared that they want to kill you because they don't like your commentary. So I don't know how someone sort of, I shouldn't say like that, to be able to sort of go through that and then to still do the job and to still sort of like shake that off and just sort of continue on your journey, that's really impressive to me. Because I think that would spook so many people, and that's what Leah Hextall talked about. It, like, again, the sexualized comments and all that stuff, it happens every day, which in itself must be just mentally exhausting. But then a couple of times it just went to a, like, literal place where people were threatening to kill her. And again, we're talking about a hockey broadcaster. But I wish I had the solutions to this between anonymity and social media and misogyny and all that, but I appreciated her telling her story, and it was pretty eye-opening, man. It's as you know, play-by-play is a hard job without anything else going on, and then if that stuff's floating in your brain, that's a mess.
Well, Richard, great stuff as always. It's good to catch up with you again. We'll do it again soon, and hope you have a good weekend.
All right. Work on that law office, man. I see a big thing.
I will.
Hopefully we'll help them to expand.
Yes.
Exactly.
Richard Deitch from The Athletic joining us. A lot of great stuff there. But Coming up next, we'll get back into the Titans and Harold Landry. What's next for them after the ACL injury to Landry? That's all next. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
The news doesn't stop for the Titans.
The Tennessee Titans are signing former Chiefs wide receiver Josh Gordon to their practice squad.
Sources, the Titans have reworked All-Pro running back Derrick Henry's contract to give him a $2 million raise in 2022.
Breaking news, Harold Landry out for the season with a torn ACL.
What does it all mean moving forward? Keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey football fans, Patrick Mahomes here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
This September, the Chainsmokers hit Music City at the Blended Wine and Music Festival. 24 bands, 2 stages, 1 weekend, all under the Nashville skyline. Performances by the Chainsmokers, Loud Luxury, Sick Kick, Fetty Wap, Breland, and more. September 10th and 11th, the ultimate social experience drops in Music City. Enjoy a massive 100-foot wine tent, culinary village, and wellness lounge. Get tickets now at blendedfestival.com.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and FanDuel wants you to be ready for game day when college football kicks off this week. Right now, new customers can get $150 in free bets guaranteed for week 1. Just place a $5 bet, and you can get $150 in free bets, win or lose. Lots of interesting college football props out there. I'm looking at the Vols over 7.5 wins this year, but you take it any way you want to take it. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now's the perfect time to give it a shot. The app is easy to use, and they're always hooking you up with great odds as well. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel app today, sign up with promo code ROB, and place a $5 bet to get $150 in free bets guaranteed to kick off the college football season. Once again, that promo code is ROB. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
I love this show.
Never miss a moment of the show.
Okay, all right, okay.
Subscribe to the Chase, Willy, and D-Mase podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm ready to step this up a notch.
You're listening to Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight at 7:05 on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds are at home at First Horizon Park, taking on the Memphis Redbirds, AAA affiliate of the St. Louis Cardinals. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan is presented by 312 Pizza and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Chase McKay, Willy Donick, Derek Mason with you as we discuss the Titans. We'll do more of a what's next with Harold Landry and Rashard Weaver. We'll do that here in just a second. But I want to ask you guys this question because last year Mike Vrabel won Coach of the Year. It's well documented, using 91 players to win the AFC, that they were the #1 seed in the AFC. Obviously, Mike Vrabel is not sitting there going, man, I really wish one of my star players would get hurt so I can, show that I'm such a great coach. But I do feel like this is a strength of his, that whenever there's adversity, whether it's Derrick Henry missing half the season last year, now losing his top pass rusher in Harold Landry for the entire season with a torn ACL, I'm reminded time and time again of why he is the Coach of the Year, because I feel like that he thrives in these situations.
Well, you got to understand where he comes from in that regard. Whether it be Ohio State, Pittsburgh, and I'm talking teams that had traditions of winning, Ohio State, Pittsburgh, or New England. There was always constant change, and it was next man up. So that's what he's used to. He's not used to, a key guy going down and nobody stepping up. When you're used to and you see how coaches sort of, if a guy goes down or if a guy gets traded, guy retires, they just plug in the next guy. And I think that's why he loves the aspect of just coaching an individual, because he coaches that individual up, and then if that frontline guy goes down, he knows that he's already implemented enough in that backup guy that he should come in, and there shouldn't be a drop-off. There shouldn't be this major drop-off. So I'm not surprised that Vrabel, the team went through all this adversity last year with guys missing games and getting injured, and he was able to just, hey, next guy up. Mm-hmm. That's his motto. Listen, next guy up. I don't care. Things happen on the football field. People get traded. People get hurt. The guy behind him needs to be ready. And I'm going to do my job as a head coach and make sure my coaching staff get those guys prepared, ready to go. That's why I'm not worried about Malik Willis if he has to come in a game, because I believe in what Vrabel is doing coaching-wise.
One thing jumps out at me. Our theme today, your statement you made in the first hour, you don't get ready, you have to be ready.
Yep.
When they had the COVID controversy, when they were the first team that was getting hammered for the workouts and all that stuff, and they went through however many days when they had the outbreak where they couldn't practice, and then they had to play the Bills. And remember how sharp they were? And we were thinking, how in the world are they going to prepare for this game? They haven't practiced. They haven't done anything. They're just going to have to show up and try to beat a really good Bills team, and they throttled them. And Mike Vrabel, I'll always remember this. He said, when the bleep hits the fan, you have to already be ready. He
Right.
said, you don't say, hey, the storm's coming, we got to get ready. You have to already be ready. So I do think he thrives in that. He's good at rallying, and they do, I think, a much better job than many teams of dealing with things that are probably inevitable over the course of the season. You hope that you don't get hit that hard. I still think the Landry injury, if you look through the entire preseason, that's the one really bad one that is hit. But when you compare it to the last couple of preseasons since Vrabel's, I think there's been some seasons where they've had a lot more to deal with than something like that. I still think overall, roster-wise, it's not a crisis.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Right, and it can change.
Joe on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com. Chase totally jinxed us yesterday when he said Titans news comes in threes. I will take responsibility for that. That is true.
You did say that.
I did
in
say
fact,
that.
we could roll the tape back.
I
that
did.
was like
no,
the
we
last
don't need
thing
to.
you
I'm
said.
admitting it. We don't need to. We don't need to.
Guilty.
Coming up next, how do the Titans replace Harold Landry? And I believe there's more pressure on somebody not named Rashad Weaver. We'll do that next. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Monday at 6, it's the Eddie George Show live from 6th and Peabody.
We're excited at Tennessee State.
Each week, the former Titan and current TSU head coach will be joined by Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton.
All of America was watching this game if you're interested in college football.
And special guests to break down the Tigers' latest game and talk all things football.
This league is forever changing.
The Eddie George Show, Mondays at 6 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Family Leisure's 30th annual Labor Day sale.
End of summer clearance items like pools and rafts and pool toys to our new indoor products like massage chairs and theater seating.
Save up to 40% off on all new patio furniture. Save up to 70% on display model and discontinued items.
Family Leisure has truckloads of spas arriving daily. There are even some scratch and dent spas on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Home theater seating, 3-piece sets start at only $9.99. That's Family Leisure's Labor Day sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Tennessee has always been a state of pioneers. Hardworking folks just trying to find simple ways to protect their families, which is why so many Tennesseans trust us. Need individual plans including dental and vision? Or you're a small business owner and want family coverage? No problem. Just click fbhp.com, call us, or visit one of our many offices. Farm Bureau Health Plans, protecting Tennesseans since 1947.
Did he get it? He did. Touchdown, Vanderbilt.
This is your home for Vanderbilt football.
Saturday, the Commodores take on Elon at First Bank Stadium on Vanderbilt's campus. Coverage begins at 4:30.
Vanderbilt is on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
It's terrible, terrible news for the Titans, and it means that they're going to have to rely on an assortment of players to step up. Right away, Rashad Weaver comes to mind, and he's someone that has done really well in the postseason, or the preseason, the past couple of years. You look at the way he was able to get to the quarterback and get sacks and disrupt the quarterback, leading to an interception for Joe Jones. Those are things that you got to bring to the table. But then there's two other names. Obviously Ola Adeni is someone that you look at, and he is an ideal situational pass rusher. He's one of those squatty, really strong type of guys that could come off the edge and give some of the taller tackles some issues. So that's an option. You have David Aneni, who was around the quarterback all the time. It was a surprise that he didn't make the roster. A lot of us had him making that roster. So that's an option. But one thing that I think we really need to look at is Bud Dupree. Now, this is an opportunity because Harold Landry isn't the only very well compensated outside linebacker on the team. Bud Dupree is as well. And you're seeing him a year removed from the injury, right? He got to go through a full season, after recovering from that torn ACL.
Teron Davenport yesterday, part of the TD Power Hour on Stillman & Company. Welcome back in, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, discussing Harold Landry out for the season with a torn ACL, and TD just hit the nail on the head. I think Bud Dupree is the one that now has to assume all of the pressure that is left because of the absence of Harold Landry. He named some other guys, too. I mean, David Aneni is somebody that I had on my 53-man roster. I was surprised he didn't make it. I do believe he's going to
make it now.
I think he's going to make it now, but he's somebody that you can look for as a depth piece. Ola Adeni is another good one. He had 2.5 sacks last year, or the first 2.5 in his entire career. But to me, and Rashad Weaver goes without saying, to me it's Bud Dupree. It's going to fall on Bud Dupree, Derek.
Well, he's going to have to. This is a guy that they brought in from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they gave him a massive contract. Now, he was coming off an ACL, and he came back prematurely, and it was noticeable. But toward the end of the season, he started to pick it up. So they need Bud Dupree to start where he finished last year, and if they can get that production that that they saw in Pittsburgh, if they could get that production this year without Harold Landry, it is a big plus. Now, if he continues to struggle, this defense will struggle. If Dupree cannot get back to form, this defense will struggle because now you don't have a Harold Landry. The guy you paid all this money to that you thought was going to be a double-digit sack guy, he hasn't gotten back into form. So now you're basically down two outside linebackers. And now that puts pressure on the interior guys. Danico Autry and Jeffrey Simmons and the guys that rotate. It puts a lot of pressure on those guys to stop the run or get pressure on the quarterback. Somebody has to step up. And I do believe that Rashad Weaver will, again, because I believe in Vrabel's coaching. So I believe that Rashad Weaver will come in and get the job done. Again, will he be Harold Landry? I don't know. But if he's close to or equal or even better, that's great. They won't miss a beat. But like you said, Chase, it depends on Dupree. If Dupree can get back to form, then this defense will be okay. If he doesn't, without Landry, now you're putting the pressure on the interior guys.
I remember last year how much discussion we had about trying to manage what was going on with Dupree and how well they ended up doing that. That ended up being a big strength of the defense, despite the fact that they didn't get much from Bud Dupree. I think that's a big thing that they can fall back on because, as we said, they're in general pretty good with dealing with adversity, but they've dealt with this particular thing. Now it's on Dupree to carry the load. Hopefully he's healthy, he's ready. He makes 19.2 against the cap, by the way. He is, as far as percentage of the cap, second only to Ryan Tannehill on percentage of the cap taken up, 9.1%. So there's already a lot of, responsibility that a guy like that has. You need production out of the guys you're investing in like that. Here's his chance. The other thing that we haven't mentioned yet, and Derek touched on it, and in the first hour we mentioned this too, but Danico Autry's versatility that we saw last year. He was a guy that was picking up the slack some for Bud Dupree because he can play inside and outside. Now, ideally, his spot is right next to the nose guard, right? That's maybe where you have the best versatility, but you can move him out there. So I think that's something to look for. Rashad Weaver, let's see what he's got. But you've got Autry, and then you've got some guys like Tierra Tart, Naquan Jones, some good finds that they've had that can play alongside of Jeffrey Simmons and, be in that rotation, and hopefully you can have that same level of success.
So when an injury like this happens, I think the initial reaction for everybody is, okay, they got to go out. They got to go make a move. They got to go sign somebody. They got to go make a trade, go get a name, all that. JPP's out there, Jason Pierre-Paul, D Ford. We kind of went through some that
if you look at the various sites, people are throwing a bunch of names out there.
Sure. But that's what happens every time. Like with the receivers, okay, who's available? Who can you go get? And they end up signing a name and Josh Gordon.
The Will Fullers of defensive ends.
Look, the Titans all name team has added another member with Josh Gordon, and they could with JPP or somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
However, I look at the depth that they have, and you just named some of them at that position, and I sit here and I go, well, why wouldn't you just try what you have? You're not replacing Harold Landry. You're not going to just snap your fingers and all of a sudden you have another guy that's going to get 12, 13 sacks for you like Harold Landry. But why couldn't it be Rashad Weaver really stepping up? I mean, he's going to be the starter. It's going to be Bud Dupree and Rashad Weaver. I mean, I think those are going to be the two starters at your outside backer. But why couldn't it be a David Anini? Why couldn't it be a Ola Adaney? Guys like that. And see what you have with the guys that have been with you. If you want to bring in a depth piece, you have the practice squad that you can play with by adding a veteran. You could put JPP or D Ford or somebody like that, like you're doing with Josh Gordon. Low risk, high reward. But I don't think that's the worst case scenario for them.
No, they
to be able to ride with what they got and see how it works.
Yeah, and they, as we mentioned, they created a little bit of flexibility in their cap space by reworking Derrick Henry's contract. So you have the opportunity to wait and see how it unfolds week to week. If something presents itself, if you feel the need, you can pounce if you want to. But, Derek, this team, they replaced Derrick Henry for half a season and got the job done, and were the number one seed. They've dealt with this kind of thing before.
Yeah, they have. Derrick goes down, Dante Foreman comes in, and, he's not Derrick Henry, but the run game did not take 3 or 4 steps back. Yes, it did take a step, maybe a step and a half back.
But we were stunned how much they produced.
Absolutely. They still were able to stick to who they were as a football team, meaning run the football first, play action, and do some of those things. So, again, that's why I am not too concerned. Yes, it's a blow. But if something like this is going to happen, you rather it happen at the beginning. You rather it not happen at all. But if it does happen, you rather it happen at the beginning of the year than sort of in the middle of the season or later in the year when you're on this playoff push and all of a sudden one of your key guys go down and you look at the waiver wire, there's nobody out there, and you don't have enough snaps with the guys behind them. And then as the season goes, more guys get injured too. So, again, I believe that, Vrabel is going to allow, Rashad Weaver to take his shot at being that weak side linebacker or anybody else on the roster right now. And if they show that this is a little bit too much for them, then I'm sure he and John Robinson will get together and make some moves to try to bring someone in. I'm sure they're thinking that right now, whether it's for, depth or to be a starter. They're thinking about bringing another linebacker in just in case it doesn't work out with Weaver or anybody else on that roster at that particular position.
Joe on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, says, I think the Titans should try and get Robert Quinn with the Bears. Man, I don't know how much that would cost you because he had 18.5 sacks last year as a Pro Bowler.
To me, I don't do that. Like he's expensive too. He's still got, I think, 2 or 3 years left.
But people are rushing. It's like, listen, the boat is not sinking, okay? The ship is not sinking, people. You know, where you got all of a sudden like, let's try to do anything to get the boat to stay afloat. The ship is not sinking. There's a piece broke. We can fix it and move on. They don't need to try to go trade picks and players to get this guy and then absorb his contract. No, the quarterback didn't get hurt. You know, they don't have Derrick Henry, the quarterback, and somebody else getting hurt. They got one guy that got hurt, an important guy, but it's one guy. The ship is not sinking. It's a little bit broke right now. Hopefully Rashad Weaver can be the guy that can help fix it and they can move on.
And look, I mean, everything I've seen out of him, granted it's a small sample size, whether it's in practice or in the preseason, I've liked. I mean, I feel like that, okay, there's something there. He's I think a 5th-round pick, 4th, 5th-round pick, hungry guy, good player out of Pitt. I think they could have something. So, look, it could be everybody's freaking out right now, rightfully so. Thank you. Rightfully so, but then Weaver comes in and, you know, puts 6-7 sacks there. Dupree gets the rest. It's by committee. It may not be one guy. I mean, I also don't get lost in the whole like, well, you got to have one guy that has double-digit sacks. Well, if your defense is getting to the quarterback, then isn't that accomplishing the job, even if it's with 2, 3, 4 guys?
Yeah, I think there's a lot better ways to measure the sacks or the pressure on the quarterback. You know, tip balls and quarterback pressures and hurries, things that lead to good things for the defense. I think that has always been something that has been oversold. Do you have the one guy that gets all the sacks? But I think that's a real good point by all of you guys. If you're just a casual football fan and you're watching the preseason games, you can't help but have noticed Rashad Weaver. They played the heck out of him in all of the games, and he was consistently beating his man. Now, for whatever that's worth, he's going to face better guys and all that stuff. But I think that's an important thing to note. I think they may have something there.
I mean, you know, you want your – if you're paying guys big money like that, you would hope, especially on the not necessarily on the interior because it's harder for those guys to get sacks, but those guys on the outside, you want those guys to get sacked. But like you said, Willie, you know, sacks is not necessarily the end-all, be-all. It's pressures, it's tackles for loss, it's how you set the edge to kind of get everything to go back inside of you to set it up for somebody else. Listen, prime example is, you know, if you look at some of the top defenses in the National Football League over the course of 25, 30 years, you know, you can see where those guys up front take on the bulk of those blocks. And you know, the guys behind them are the guys that getting all the tackles or the sacks. But we say the guys in the interior, well, they're not that good because they don't get sacks. Well, no, they're doing their job. They hella good because they're doing their job to allow the guys exactly allow guys behind them to get the glory. Just because you don't get the sack doesn't mean necessarily the glory's not there. We see it. You as a casual fan may not see it, but when they turn on that film room, and they start looking at those big guys in the middle and the job they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do.
What does the loss of Landry mean for a position group that Derek has been concerned about since the start of training camp? We'll discuss that coming up next. But first, Willie, tell us about Lone Pronto.
All right, let's talk Lone Pronto. These guys are doing excellent work for a lot of people, including the Donick family. We're working with them right now as we speak. And we're carrying through the message that I've been saying to all of you now for a good while. Lone Pronto knows that right now in our listening area, because of the way Nashville is booming, if you're a homeowner, your home's value is way up there. And you can use that to your advantage if you're looking for ways to pay off bills. Maybe it's credit cards or other high-interest loans, a car loan, for example, a tuition payment, things that require some cash. you've got that in your home, and Loan Pronto can access that for you with excellent mortgage rates. They're helping a lot of people. 30-year fixed rates, 15-year APRs, HELOCs, all of these things that they will get you the best, lowest rate possible, no matter what your goal is to do with the money. Not all lender mortgages are created equal. So let Loan Pronto go to work for you, being the low-rate leader that they are. It's an all-digital, super-fast process now, I'm telling you firsthand, with virtually zero paperwork and no hassle. I can tell you I didn't have any paperwork. It was all digital for me, and it's outstanding to think about that now because it really streamlines the process. Call Loan Pronto and see if they can help you. You could even skip the next couple of house payments. Loan Pronto at 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Men, are you asking yourself questions like, why am I gaining fat? Why is my energy or sex drive down and maybe haven't been getting the exercise you need? If you want to get back to the man you used to be but just don't have that youthful energy, that edge you once had, you very well might have low testosterone. Low T causes all kinds of issues, from a reduced libido, lower drive, and bad sleep patterns to problems with muscle gain, bone density, and more. It may even contribute to erectile dysfunction, and if this sounds like you, it's probably time to get treated for your low T. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've treated thousands of men for low T. We've seen them put on muscle, add to their energy, improve their sex lives, get better sleep, and just feel better. Plus, if you're like most men, you'll see results in only a few weeks. So make an appointment today and experience how testosterone therapy can truly change your life. Your initial appointment is only $99 with results in minutes. Call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra, results vary.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast for today, low 90s, a little more humid than the last 2 days, and the possibility of a few pop-up showers and weak thunderstorms east of I-65. Scattered showers and storms likely for your Saturday and Sunday.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Castrol Edge Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every tank. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $37.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Jared Stillman.
This is a team that the entire city is losing their minds over.
Caroline Fenton.
It's one of the youngest teams in the league. They don't have a single player over the age of 30.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, broadcasting live from the Hillside Medical Game Studios. Silly Underdog Picks is back. You can play right now. Pick 3 football underdog teams you think will win this week outright for a chance to win. Just go to thegamenashville.com or download the 102.5 The Game app. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket, and mine did not come through last night, but that's okay.
Another pick was Purdue, and they went down last night. They were right there.
Both teams
had the game in the palm of their hand. Couldn't pull it out. No points for a cover.
No points for a cover at all. All right, D-Mase, you've been concerned about the secondary for the Tennessee Titans since the beginning of training camp. And I can remember a few years ago when we would sit here and bang the table and say, the Titans got to find a pass rush. They got to find a pass rush. You work from the inside out. Well, how is the loss of Landry going to affect this young secondary of maybe at least at the beginning of the season not getting as effective of a pass rush as they would if Landry was in the lineup?
Well, again, it all depends on, Rashad Weaver and company. The production you get out of them will depend on how the secondary reacts to this situation. Listen, if you have sometimes, okay secondaries can be masked by a really good front. I've seen it plenty of times. A lot of times it happened because of injury, where, your starters, one or two of your starters go down in the secondary, but because your defensive line, your linebackers are so good at rushing the passer that they don't have to cover as long. Listen, Deion Sanders, I've said this before, Deion Sanders, Rod Woodson, Jam Bailey, whoever, name all these great corners. If they have guys on a defensive line that can't get to the passer ever, they're not as good as they can be. Not to say that those guys aren't great, but they can't cover for 5 seconds, But if they only have to cover for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, they become who they are. Like, the greatness comes out of them. And with this secondary, I was always a little concerned, and still am concerned, not necessarily of, what they can be. It's the inexperience in this secondary. Beside Kevin Byard and Hooker, I think those two guys are probably the best 1-2 combination as far as safeties. I don't even know if they say free safety, strong safety. I just call them both safeties now. They're probably the best combination safeties in the National Football League. But those guys outside of them, the corners, the nickel guy, they don't have as much experience. And they're going to play against a lot of really good receivers in passing games. So if that defensive front can't get to the passer, it's going to expose their youth. And then it's going to be really important how Kevin Byard communicates with those guys, because now we all got to be on the same page. Because if we break down on any level, it can be a touchdown in a pivotal game. So not having Harold Landry, and if no one can step up and fill that void, then it does put pressure on those guys on the back end.
I still think the defense, for them to have the season they want to have, has got to be relied upon to hold in check some elite offenses, elite quarterbacks. That's going to be the theme of the year. Unless some of these quarterbacks get hurt, they're going to face a high level of quarterback play, and as we've pointed out, maybe the highest of any team. It's right up there in the top 2 or 3, regardless of how you rate them, right? You just go down the list. Who's the quarterback of the team they're playing? So you've got to have a good pass rush. I do think, based on what we've been saying, they still can have the level of pass rush that they had last year because of the offset, Dupree at full strength, and now you try to manage the other side without Landry. It had a chance to really, in a perfect world. But you know what? Every team is going to have some level of this happen. Guys are going to get hurt. You hope to have a little bit of luck that it doesn't hit you. This is what Floyd Reese used to say all the time. He goes, if I get hit with some injuries at one position, I can handle that. He said what really hurts you is if you get 2 or 3 of those areas.
Right.
And now I can't plug all of those holes. There's only so many holes you can plug with the salary cap funds that you have. But if it's one area, you can find different things. As we said, there's options. You start one way, hey, it's not working. Let's see what's out there on the waiver wire. Let's see what kind of trades we might have. You don't have to all figure it out today. But I still think there's plenty there to have an excellent defense. But let's make no mistake about it. This defense needs to be a really good defense for them to have the success that they're looking for. D-Mase, one of the big things we've had all week long as a theme while you've been gone is how few people outside of this area believe the Titans are going to be any good. For a team that's won the last 2 divisions and had 6 straight winning seasons, Their over-under is about 8.5 wins, and almost everybody is picking the Colts. And that was before Landry got hurt.
Well, that's because the Titans aren't the flashy team. Nashville, as big as we think we're getting as a city, we're still not a big sport market, considering what everyone else outside of Nashville thinks of us. But if this is, looking over the past couple of seasons, if this is New England or Pittsburgh or, Dallas, or name another team that, people just love, they would say, oh, I'm picking this team to go to the Super. This is the team that everyone needs to beat right here, the Tennessee Titans. But because they're not, then people are always skeptical about, well, maybe, last year a lot of those wins wasn't supposed to be wins. They sort of lucked and won them. Well, like I said last week, you win those games at the beginning, with young players. So when you do get a position as these players get experience, they know what to do. Sure. So to me, that's great that Vrabel was winning those games with inexperienced young players, because now they have some experience, and now I expect him to win these games, those close games anyway.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and this was already going to be the case, but I think it's even more so. Now we're going to see the progression of Shane Bowen as a defensive play caller and how he wants to scheme things, because he's lost a major weapon. Dean Pease was known for using the secondary and blitzing the secondary. He's going to have to get creative at times to make that defense be as dynamic as it's been in years past. So something to definitely continue to discuss. Coming up next, we'll get back into college football. Brett McMurphy of the Action Network, of course, has been a college football insider for a long time. He is going to join us. We'll do that next. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When you want to rock.
Let's go, don't wait. This night's almost over. Do all the monsters come out at night? Why do we sleep when we want to?
We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz. If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
TSU head coach, Titan all-time great Eddie George.
I think our kids are excited. I know they put in a lot of hard work in the off season, and we're just chomping at the bit to be competitive. So exciting time.
So, and the most important exciting element of this is that TSU's games with Eddie will now air on 94.9 The Fan starting September 3rd. That is at Eastern Washington this Saturday at 3 o'clock. And the Eddie George Show will debut after us next week at 6 right here on 102.5 The Game. I mean, Eddie, I hate to tell you have big shoes to fill at 6 o'clock, but, I mean, that's the reality of it. But we're really looking forward to it. You and Jonathan Hutton at 5th and Peabody, we're really looking forward to TSU football on 94.9 The Fan.
Yeah, we're really excited, too. It was a great partnership to have with you guys. It'll be covered, actually, through 3 of my former teammates, Brad Hopkins, Chris Sanders, also Keith Bullock.
Oh, no, not Chris Sanders. We can't. Oh, no. Oh, God.
So it's great, man. And also my show with Jonathan Hutton. I think I've developed such a great chemistry with Jonathan. And we want to talk about not just TSU football, but all things in sports, specifically the Titans, what we're doing on Sundays and everything in between that. Just really excited to merge my commentating career with my coaching career among everything else that I've done in my life. So, and hopefully, the people tune in at 6 o'clock on Mondays and listen in to what we have to say. It's going to be candid, fun, exciting, very transparent and honest. And I can't wait to delve into some of the topics that we'll be covering on Mondays.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Jim Jeffries.
Here's the thing about millennials.
Live on stage.
You're the worst people that have ever lived.
Saturday, October 8th at Ryman Auditorium. Tickets on sale now at AXS.com. Produced by Outback Presents. You watch the game.
Shot on the score. Philip Tomasino on the power play.
We talk the game.
I think the Predators have significantly upgraded with him in the top 6.
We are The Game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. From the Hillside Medical Game Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram. WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase.
Stowing and Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushes.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Now let's see if we can bring them to life, all right?
Bringing you entertainment and informative sports talk during your workday.
Smart, funny, classy, and I like him a lot.
This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase with Chase McCabe, Willy Donick.
Mason, touchdown, Tennessee.
And former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
This is a new level of geek you got going on here.
12 o'clock hour, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We're streaming on the Game Nashville app as well. Chase McCabe, Willy Donick, Derek Mason with you. Ask D-Mase coming up at the bottom of the hour, so get your questions ready for him. You can ask him anything about football and life as well. So we will do that coming up at 12:30. But we say hello to Brett McMurphy. He's on the line with us now from the Action Network as we talk a little college football with him. Brett, how you doing?
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. Good to talk to you again. And I want to start with a game last night that I was watching and might have been invested in for various reasons. But Jeff Brom, somebody that we got to know quite well when he was at Western Kentucky, now at Purdue, I feel like they blew it, Brett. What happened to the Boilermakers last night against Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, if somehow you didn't include the final 2 minutes of the first half and the final 2 minutes of the second half, Purdue wins by what, 21 points? That was a bizarre game, and I think Jeff Brom's one of the best offensive coaches out there, but certainly some questionable decisions, especially when they're up late in the fourth quarter. Last 23 plays, I think they ran. They only ran the ball, I think, twice. And then Penn State, of course, had enough time to go down for that last-minute touchdown drive. It's a tough loss for them. It's obviously huge for Penn State because being in the Big Ten East, they still got the likes of Ohio State, Michigan State on the schedule. So I think James Franklin really needed that one. But, yeah, I think it's one Purdue gave away, and kind of similar to the other Big Ten game we saw this year, the week before. Nebraska gave that one away. I thought Purdue gave this one away.
What is kind of your outlook with, James Franklin, somebody else we got to know during his time at Vanderbilt? What is kind of your outlook for Penn State this year in that tough Big Ten East like you were talking about?
Well, I actually have him, I think, rated higher than most people on my preseason AP ballot. I had him in my top 25. They did not make the top 25, so a lot of people do not agree with me. It was funny when that game was going on. I was kind of looking back at past seasons, and I didn't even realize this, but last year Franklin was almost Scott Frost-like in that Penn State had lost 4 games. 4 of their last 5 losses were by 4 points or less, and the only other loss was by 9 points to Ohio State, and they probably should have lost, by 3 points to Purdue. So, that's obviously a disturbing trend. Most of the time, those things kind of equal out unless you're Nebraska. So, I think James is one of the top coaches around. Great recruiter. Anytime there's an opening at a major power, his name gets out there. I think that shows the respect people have for him. But he's in arguably obviously the SEC West will disagree, but he's in arguably the toughest division in football, and it's some tough sledding there. But anything less than a 10-win season, and they're going to be disappointed.
We're talking with Brett McMurphy, Action Network. Now, Brett, the other game that was exciting yesterday, I ended up falling asleep like the last couple of minutes of the game because it was just too long. The game was too long, and I had just gotten off a plane. But the West Virginia and Pittsburgh game. Now, Pat Narduzzi, I'm familiar with him because he's a former Spartan. but now he's leading this Pittsburgh squad, who many think will win the ACC again. How big was this win, or was it more so of West Virginia letting one get away?
Yeah, West Virginia had the game. It's a tie game. They've got the ball, and perfect pass by JT Daniels, and the receiver who's had a monster day just goes through his hands, and then it's a pick six, and it goes up 7 and then holds off West Virginia at the end. I mean, it's big, obviously, for Pitt. The defending ACC champs, the first time the backyard brawl had been played in 11 years. So it's good for them to get it. I think, though, it's probably going to impact West Virginia more because I think this is a devastating loss for them because they're going to look at this like they had the game. They had it won. They had control of it, and there were some questionable decisions than the Pitt Six. And also, West Virginia is only one of 2 Power 5 teams, actually one of only 2 teams in the country that play 11 Power 5 opponents. So their schedule is not easy at all. And they were projected to be 8th in the Big 12. So that would have been a huge win on the road and let it slip away. And so now they've got Kansas, they do count as a Power 5 opponent, but then after that they have to go at Virginia Tech and then get into the heart of the Big 12 schedule. So I think that's more devastating for West Virginia than maybe, obviously the impact it will have on Pitt.
Now, 2 games that I'm interested in, not necessarily, I think they will be good games, but the Oregon and Georgia game, and then the Ohio State and Notre Dame game. Which one of those teams, Georgia or Ohio State, cannot afford to lose?
Well, I don't think, to be honest, I don't think any of the 4 schools can afford to lose. Okay. If they want to get to the college football playoff, because we know the selection committee comes out and they tell us that all the stuff they look at and strength of schedule and all these different things. Well, that's great, but there's one thing that has more weight than anything else, and that's number of losses. No team has ever made the college football playoff with 2 losses. So the losers of those games you mentioned has 1 loss. Well, what's that mean? Well, if the past 8 years are any indication, it means they've got to run the table to get to the college football playoff. So I think it's huge for all of them. Obviously, I'd rather be Ohio State and Georgia in these games because they are prohibitive favorites. I just think Ohio State is so good. I think, on my AP ballot, I had Alabama 1, I had Ohio State 2. If they'd let me, I'd put Alabama 1A and Ohio State 1B because I think that's how close they are. But after those 2 guys, I think there's a huge drop-off to the rest of the country. Georgia is within shouting distance, but nobody else is. But I think the 2 games, I'm most looking forward to Georgia and Oregon because of, former Georgia defensive coordinator Dan Lanning's now the Oregon head coach, first-year head coach, and, a lot has been made about he'll know Georgia's defense. Well, I think what may be getting overlooked is he's going to know Georgia's offense. He went against them every day in practice. He knows Stetson Bennett's strengths and weaknesses. Doesn't mean he'll be able to do anything about it, but at least they'll have a fighting chance. I think that one's going to be a lot closer than the other one. The other game, I really think Ohio State's going to dominate that game. I like Freeman. I think he'll be a good coach in time, but he blew a big lead against Oklahoma State in the Fiesta Bowl. Now you're facing the defensive coordinator who just played against you in the Fiesta Bowl. So I think Ohio State rolls, and I think the other games should be a little bit more competitive.
We're talking to Brett McMurphy, college football insider with the Action Network. ActionNetwork.com is where you can find him. Outstanding reporter. So, Brett, it's so, number one, refreshing to have games to chew on here. And I want to ask you about the TV deal coming here. But with Pittsburgh, I noticed you retweeted last night. I think we all noticed it. Just the atmosphere at the Pittsburgh game. And Tennessee is going there next week. So, I just didn't think of a hostile atmosphere when I was thinking of Tennessee at Pitt. But that's going to be a really intriguing game. Yeah,
it is. And, it's an NFL stadium. I know Pitt plays there, but it's an NFL stadium, and that's what it is. It's not it's not Rocky Top.
Right.
It's not Athens. It's not, we can list them all. But yeah, it was an incredible atmosphere. Part of that is, it was the first time these rivals had played in 11 years. It was the biggest crowd to ever see in a Pittsburgh sporting event, including any games that the Steelers have played in Pittsburgh. So that's pretty impressive. I assumed that this Tennessee game will be sold out. I don't know if it is or not. I don't think the atmosphere is going to be the same. And it's nothing against Tennessee, but it's kind of like, Tennessee's playing Alabama, longtime rival, and then Tennessee plays,
Mississippi State, or something that's not quite the same.
I was going to say Ole Miss, and then I forgot who the coach of Ole Miss was.
And what happened last year? Yeah.
So Mississippi State, it could also – both games could be sellouts, but there's going to be a different energy with the crowd. So, obviously, Tennessee will be coming in. I ranked Tennessee in my top 25. They didn't get in there. Maybe they will when the new rankings come out Tuesday. So if Tennessee's ranked, maybe that'll get the home crowd going. But I'd be shocked if it's the same atmosphere. You can't. And again, taking nothing away. It doesn't matter what team would have come in the week after this backyard brawl. It's going to be a monster atmosphere. Great news for Tennessee. It's hard for any team to get up 2 weeks in a row. And Pitt has been talking about this game all off season. The backyard brawl, we hate West Virginia. West Virginia has their fans chant, what rhymes with Pitt. And so that's huge. So the question, how do you get back up when you have a quality team coming in the next week? So if I'm Tennessee, this is a great spot for them. Come in, play the defending ACC champs, and if they're not ranked on Tuesday, I guarantee you they beat Pitt, they'll be top 15 the following week.
Okay, Brett, let's end with this. What is, just to boil it down, what's best case scenario for Big 12 as they go through these negotiations, trying to roll with, the set of circumstances that they've been dealt?
Actually, the Big 12's in a great position, and I'm an Oklahoma State alum, and I'm being very honest. They're in a great position because nobody else wants their schools, so they're going to survive. The Big 10 doesn't want anybody in the Big 12. The SEC already got Texas and OU. They already got who they wanted. They're in a better position than the Pac-12, and so the Pac-12 will only survive if the Big 10 doesn't take any more teams. If the Big 10 takes 3 or 4 teams from the Pac-12, then you'll see the Arizona schools, Colorado, Utah. I think those schools would then go to the Big 12. And so what's left in the Pac-12 then? Oregon State and Washington State. That conference would fold, similar to how the Big East folded when the ACC rated it. So the Big 12's in good position, at least now, for the next few years. Now, as more realignment happens, then maybe the Big 10 and SEC tries to take some Big 12 schools. I really don't think they want them, to be very honest. And that's why I think, in a weird way, because of that, the Big 12 is going to be safe. The ACC, depending on your viewpoint, is okay because they can't go anywhere for the next 14 years. So if you're an ACC fan, that's great news. If you're a fan of an ACC team, that's probably bad news because you probably want to get out and go to the Big 10 and SEC and make twice as much money. And believe me, there are 7 or 8 teams out of the ACC that the Big 10 and the SEC would take in a heartbeat.
He's Brett McMurphy, the Action Network college football insider for them. Brett, always good to talk to you. Thanks for the time. We'll do it again soon.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
Brett McMurphy joining us here on the program. Coming up next, how should Hendon Hooker and Tennessee be viewed nationally? I know it's one game, but I am curious of what you guys think, and also all of you listening, 615-737-1025. It's Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
185! Every team needs a quarterback.
185!
That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Week 1 is getting closer, folks. Kick it off with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Joe Rexford here to let you know that if you join today, you can get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code Joe102, get in on the action. Then you can turn game day into payday all season long. I am looking at week 1, and I'm still liking Titans giving the points against the Giants. I know the Harold Landry ACL tear is a devastating blow to this Titans defense, but in that game, I still think you're going to see a very good performance. Play your way, bet on more than just the final score, by the way. You can do everything from touchdowns, total yards, catches. You can combine things into a same-game parlay. Don't fumble your chance. Get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with promo code Joe102. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Kenny Mayne here with this declaration for new Caesar Sportsbook app users from Caesar. Your first bet's on us, is what Caesar told me to say. That means if you don't win, you get up to $1,250 back as a free bet. Download the Caesar Sportsbook app and sign up with the code RADIOFULL.
Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. Qualifying bet loses. Bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesar.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
It's grillin' and chillin' season, and Hiller is giving away backyard freebies all September. This month, when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater, we'll give you a free Yeti Tundra cooler, or get a free Traeger grill with any new whole home generator. And we're offering special zero-interest financing for up to 48 months on select new HVAC system replacements. Book online at happyhiller.com today. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
R&S Flooring wishes you a happy Labor Day. Thanks for not only being great customers, but for doing the work you do to help keep Nashville strong. Have a great Labor Day weekend.
Who do you call when you need a new floor? R&S Wood Flooring.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. I'm ready to step this up a notch. You're listening to Chase, Willy, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Don't miss the Eddie George Show featuring Jonathan Hutton on 102.5, 106.3 The Game every Monday at 6, live from 6 in Peabody. The Eddie George Show presented by Low T Centers. We'll talk to Eddie coming up at 1 o'clock before they head out to Eastern Washington for their first game tomorrow that you can hear on 94.9 The Fan. But right now, discussing Tennessee, their win last night. You know, I called it a big win earlier. I guess it's not, you know.
Because the overhead. You were excited.
Well, I was overly excited about that.
So that made it big.
They covered. I mean, they did all the things that they needed to do. 59-10, the final score for the Vols as they get the win at Neyland Stadium. But they needed to do that. They needed to go out and show their dominance. The offense looked the part. I mean, they start the game off with a pick, and then Hendon Hooker, you know, throws a touchdown pass. He had a nice night, 18 of 25, 221, and 2 touchdowns. And then, you know, they were able to get a lot of guys in and let them play. But how are the Vols and Hendon Hooker viewed right now? Brett McMurphy just said he voted for the Vols to be in the top 25. They weren't. They were just on the outside. I think on Tuesday they probably are in the top 25, you know, when the new rankings come out. But what is kind of the, you know, we always talk about the national view of the Titans and nobody giving them a chance. How do people view the Vols right now?
I think they view the Vols as a, you know, wait and see. You know, they finished off. They looked really good toward the latter part last year and at times throughout the season last year. Once they settled in on their quarterback in Hendon Hooker, this team showed promise. Now, you know, the question mark was the defense. The defense played well yesterday. They had a spell right after half where they let Ball State go down and score. But I think Josh Heupel got on the defense and said, listen, if we want to be the team that we've talked about in the offseason, we can't allow this to happen. I heard him say after the game, listen, if we want to be a great team, we can't have these lapses, especially against teams that we are clearly better than. So I think that's how the country sees Tennessee. They're a good team, but beating Ball State doesn't show us much because that's what y'all were supposed to do. Now you got to go to Pittsburgh. Let's see what you do after the Pitt game. You win the Pitt game, who many think will win the ACC again and put themselves in a position for the college football playoffs. If you beat Pitt in Pitt, now that changes the whole narrative about UT. But right now, they're looked at as a team that's, they're good. They might finish third behind Georgia and Kentucky in their conference. They're okay. They make a bowl game. They're good. But if they beat Pitt, I think now it changes.
Okay. Find this, Chase, while I make this point. What is the early line on Tennessee at Pittsburgh? I don't know the answer, but
what was what?
The early line, Tennessee at Pittsburgh. I don't know who's going to be favored in that game, but I was interested in Brett's comments, like what atmosphere you're going to get. He said something I had not thought of, and that is maybe the emotional letdown after the rivalry of Pittsburgh, West Virginia.
And that is real.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah,
real.
I hadn't thought about that. But 70,000, the biggest crowd ever in Pittsburgh to watch a football game.
Heinz
That's really
Field,
something.
what is it called now?
Whatever
Heinz Field or something else.
I forgot what it's called. But it was rocking. Like, I had to ask myself, I was like, that is where the Steelers play, right? Because I didn't see any of the gold seats. Like, every seat was full. It was fantastic. So what do they have as an encore? Brett's theory is maybe it's a good time to catch Pittsburgh. But this is a big swing game. I think Tennessee is going to have some really good matchups, and they're going to roll offensively against Pittsburgh. I wonder, what they'll look like defensively in that matchup. The other thing that you said, Chase, that reminded me of something Ryan McGee told us, like how are they viewed? Ryan McGee said, I like, if I'm Josh Heupel, the fact that I'm not getting too much expectation level in season number 2. They're getting votes for the top 25. There's a sense that they're better, but they're not in the top 25 yet. That could change pretty quick. Brett said he had him in there, so I was curious to see what he looked at there. So what's the early line in this game?
If you had to guess, what would you say?
I'm going to say almost a dead pick. It's probably within a point either way. I will say Pittsburgh by 2.
I would say Pittsburgh by 3.
You're both wrong. Tennessee is a 4.5-point favorite.
Tennessee 4.5. Wow. And
that
Pittsburgh
line,
is a top 25 team. Tennessee is not.
That line opened at let's see, and that's from BetMGM. FanDuel has Tennessee at 3.5. Just looking at some other lines. Unibet has Tennessee at 4.5. So
now, does that surprise you? So that means that the odds makers watched last night's games and do not see Pittsburgh as a top 25 team. Either that, or they think Tennessee is every bit the top 25 team.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you said it yesterday in the underdogs.
I think
you thought Pittsburgh was overrated.
Yeah.
Here's something that caught my attention last night with Tennessee too. I think was worth pointing out. Hendon Hooker, as your quarterback goes, it goes a long way, right? Mm-hmm. I thought Jordan Rodgers did a really good job of sort of illustrating what a Tennessee quarterback has to do in that offense, right? What does Tennessee do? And D-Mase, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. They take the guys and put them way out there, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to make you defend the entire width of the field. Hendon Hooker's got a cannon. He hums those fastballs. He looks like a third baseman that can throw the ball from behind the bag to the first. I mean, he throws rockets out to the sideline. They set up the numbers. And so if you want to spread the safeties out and cheat over there, that sets up really good numbers to run the ball between the tackles. If you want to play one safety back there, so you have a little bit more room to run, a little more defenders up in the box, then they're just going to kill you with those throws to the outside. But then you got those deep shots you've got to hit. That's where Hooker has been a little bit hit or miss when he has to throw the touch pass down the field in the one-on-one coverage. If he can get next level in that with the receivers he has, that's what's really going to separate them.
Well, what they're trying to accomplish is they're trying to get people outside that box.
Yep.
You know, when they spread these guys out extremely wide, they're trying to use they're making you cover as a defense 52 yards wide. All 52 yards they're trying to make you cover, and they're trying to get those linebackers just to kind of get outside that box just a little bit. So now we can run in between those tackles. And, you know, it seems like Hooker has an outlet at all times because and I've seen Milton do this as well. Milton the second is when there's nothing down the field, he's looking. He had great protection this last night.
Yeah, they got a
then
really good offense.
Finally hits his outlet guy that is just sitting right there on a sideline for 3 or 4 yards. Well, that's an extended run when you can get, you know, you're looking downfield and then you can hit that guy on the outside that's sitting there 3-4 yards down the field. You hit him, you get a couple extra yards. Now it goes from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 6, somewhere around there, 2nd and 5. So they're trying to make you, Josh Heupel is trying to make you cover every inch of the field, and it worked against Ball State. Now, again, can it work against a much better defense in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, who had a pretty good pass rush last night.
And that's another thing that I'm concerned about is the lack of – now, they got pressure on the quarterback, but they had no sacks whatsoever. Right. But they got pressure. Again, I need to kind of, you know, regress a little bit. Sacks isn't the end-all, be-all, but when you're playing against a team like Ball State, who you know you're better than up front, you should be able to get at least one sack. They got some pressures, but they didn't get any sacks.
Yeah. I'll tell you this about the receivers, though. I mean, I like that receiving group that they have. Cedric Tillman goes without saying, but you had Brew McCoy, who is the transfer that's going to help. Jalen Hyatt had the first touchdown. You know, he looks to have a big year. Everybody's excited about Squirrel White, you know, as another one. I think they're going to have some weapons.
Holiday had a touchdown.
Yeah, Jimmy Holiday had a touchdown for Milton, 53-yarder. So Josh Heupel's going to be able to have his explosive offense, but asking, you know, how they should be viewed from a national level, Matthew in Nashville said, if my Vols beat Pitt, we should be in the top 25. If we go into Baton Rouge undefeated and can beat LSU, we should be viewed as a serious contender with Georgia for the SEC East. Derek, you have said it multiple times on this show that you believe Tennessee will beat Georgia this year.
Yeah, if they can pull out this Pitt game, I think that puts them in the top 25. Then if they can, you know, you look at LSU and you say, well, which LSU team are we going to see this year? Is it going to be the team of last year, or is it going to be the LSU team that we're used to seeing with all the great athletes and, you know, everything else, and they come out and they play extremely well? So if they can go into Baton Rouge and then win that game, I think it does sets them up for a potential for the clash with Georgia during the season. But that's long further
way
down. Yeah, that's further down the street. Let's not think about that. They need to think about Pittsburgh and trying to beat them.
Coming up next, your questions for our very own Derek Mason. We will play Ask D-Mase, 615-737-1025. Call, text. You can ask about football, the Titans, life, whatever you want. This is your opportunity to get in the mind of a NFL wide receiver, a veteran NFL wide receiver. 615-737-1025. Eddie George coming up at 1 o'clock. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. But first, Willy, tell us about QC Kinetics.
Okay, we all know the summer's winding down, but if you have been suffering from the joint pain and it has hindered what you want to do on a daily basis while the weather is warm, it's time to do something about it. So let me tell you about QC Kinetics, and I've been getting the word out really all summer long. If you haven't gotten around to calling them yet, you owe it to yourself to call and get that free consultation because you've put it off long enough. You want to get that real, long-lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, in your back, in your shoulder, in your hips, wherever the pain may be. If you've tried traditional methods, if you tried it on your own, and it's just not getting better, try QC Kinetics. They've got the ability to get you moving again with that cutting-edge regenerative treatment I've been talking about. No drugs, no downtime, no surgery. Lots of people have done it. They're living life to the fullest now, pain-free. You get a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics right now. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
College football season is here. Finally, it's me, Caroline Fenton, and you already know that I am pumped up for college football season. And Southeastern Carolines, you know that 312 Pizza Company is my favorite place in town. 312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Music City. You can catch every down of the college football season at 312 Pizza Company. From week 1 of the national championship, 312 Pizza Company is your home for college football season.
National Playmakers Academy with former Vols Buck Fitzgerald and James Stone, along with former Austin Peay Governor Vic Wright, offer one of the best football developmental organizations in the nation. MPA has over 30 NFL alumni, 800-plus college football scholarship signees, and 25 high school football All-Americans. If you have a student athlete in middle school or high school that is looking for the best football training and college football recruiting help around, contact National Playmakers Academy today, 615-456-2680. Or email april.mpafootball@gmail.com.
He is gone. Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
Your home for the Blue Raiders.
Coming up Saturday, it's the season opener for Blue Raider football. Middle Tennessee travels to the Shenandoah Valley to take on James Madison. Coverage begins at 3:30.
MTSU football is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Matthias Ekholm. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
D-Mase. He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Derek Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask D-Mase.
We'll welcome you in.
Now on Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for Ask D-Mase here on 102.5 The Game. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase here with you on this Friday afternoon. We're looking for you to help our show. We want to get insightful questions for D-Mase. You can ask him about the Titans. You can ask him about the wide receiver position, his areas of expertise, but you can branch out. You can challenge him. We had some great questions for him last week. D-Mase, one of them was what? LeBron. It was a LeBron, Michael Jordan question. Yeah. Also, just some interesting ones where we learned some things about you, like the recruiting process. What was your second choice to Michigan State? These are all questions that have been asked, but we want you to push the boundaries of the show.
Yes.
Text us right now, our text line. You can call if you want to go firsthand, 615-737-1025, brought to you by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Yes, for sure. Weigh in. Ask D-Mase. I hope you liked your open. You know, that was,
I love it. I mean, hey.
That was good stuff.
Yeah. Hope you enjoyed
Cutting
that.
edge.
Cutting edge is what we do.
We have a cutting edge question from the Bluegrass State to get it started.
Lead us off, Willie. Go ahead.
Okay, Will in Kentucky has started off with this. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
That is a definite, and I mean a definite no.
Ooh.
For me. No.
Have you ever tried it?
Tried it before. Didn't like it.
So the Hawaiian with the pineapple and the Canadian bacon. That's
I don't
a big
do
thing.
Canadian bacon. I don't do meat, but I just can't. I can't get on board with the whole sweetness and the sort of tanginess of the sauce, or then the bread. I just and the cheese.
It's just
too much
not
for
you.
me.
It's just not you.
Yeah, it doesn't fit my palate, man.
It's a big thing north of the border. In Canada, I really experienced it for the first time, so I'm okay with it. I don't seek it out, but I'm okay.
But you would eat it.
I would eat it. But Derek is a big no. So, Will, there's your answer. No pineapple on pizza.
No pineapple on pizza.
I don't know if
I take jalapenos on pizza, but no pineapple.
See, I get so mad at people that are like, pineapple doesn't belong on a pizza. It tastes
I didn't
good.
say it didn't belong.
No, I know.
On it.
I'm not saying
it's
that.
not for me.
I like it. Let's see. Here's
Will is booing you via the text line.
I'm sorry, Will.
Will, I'm with you.
Will, you and I will have a pizza, and we'll put pineapple on it. Okay?
I will too. I'm in with Will.
Chase is in with us.
Let's see. Another texter says, "Hey Derek, when a player like Josh Gordon is brought in for a tryout, how are they treated by the team? Do you have to pay any of their own expenses? Do they fly first class on the team's expense, or are they put in decent hotels? I'm curious how the logistics are handled by the team." That's a good question.
Well, yeah, I don't think they are brought in first class. They're, just
is that
like
why
any
you didn't
other.
sign with Belichick? He flew your coach to New England.
Hey, they paid for the ticket, so that's all that mattered to me.
Good for
I
the
did
budget.
get to sit in the big seat.
Did you get the miles?
No, I didn't get them. Dang it. But no, typically in situations like that, they, pay for his plane ticket to come and they work him out. And typically their guys are not staying overnight unless they want to get a second workout in and want to get some one-on-one, time interviews and to him talking with the rest of the coaches. But typically guys come in usually the night before, come on over, warm up, get whatever they need, warm up, and then go through their workouts. And, if a team signs them, then obviously they stay. But if it's still one of those up in the air things, then typically that person goes and, you move on. We, because during the season, they're usually done on Tuesdays. So guys are not there. So a lot of guys,
Right.
I mean, I may have seen a few guys because I'm in there sometimes working out on a Tuesday. But, most of the times, I'm not there on a Tuesday, and that's when they're working those guys out.
How does it work with the players themselves? Like, let's say it's a guy in your position group who were good guys at sort of breaking the ice. You got a veteran guy. Gordon's been around the block, but you probably need that guy to go out and just sort of greet him, right? Just make him feel welcome.
I mean, if you see a guy, you greet him, but say they bring him in on a Tuesday, if they sign him because they're going to say, listen, we signed this guy. It's going to be a big announcement. We've signed this guy. So when you come in Wednesday, it's just like you're a part of the group. It's like you don't even think about him.
But isn't there a little sense of, too, this guy may be taking reps away from me?
No, not really. If you're a starter, I mean, you can't worry about that stuff. It's just competition.
Yeah.
Bring the next man in and we go. But, whether it be, guys moving around from team to team, they always find a sense of comfort and family in the team that they're on. Regardless if he's a new guy or not. It's just you come into the locker room, hey, we're all here for the same reason, and that's to win, football games and ultimately win the Super Bowl.
615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ask D-Mase your questions for Derek Mason. Let's go to the phone line. Mike has a question for D-Mase. Mike, welcome in.
Hey, guys. So two-part question, and I've been thinking about how to phrase it the entire time, so maybe help me out. So Josh Gordon is brought in with the expectation, I guess, to help with stretching the field. Derek, how quickly can we expect for a guy, if Josh Gordon's going to play, how quickly do we expect him to, know the playbook, or do we basically have him just to go run fly routes in the deep routes that there are options on the table? The second part of the question, because I don't know if Josh Gordon is truly going to be the answer to that deep route burner answer, what are the Titans' offense going to have to do to try to get defenses to kind of back off the ball a little bit and not stack the box? Because I just see a lot of man press and, very short zones because there's just nobody on this team that's got a ton of speed that's going to scare you. So what other ways can the Titans get the pressure off of Henry? Because I'm just trying to see that with the offense that got laid out right now.
Well, thank you, Mike, for the call. Let me address your first question in regards to deep threats and when should people expect him to play. That depends on Josh Gordon. how fast he picks up the playbook. If he picks up the playbook relatively fast, then, you will see him on an active roster, possibly even this weekend. Well, not this weekend, but next weekend versus the Giants. Now, if he's, still struggling to pick up the playbook because, he's in shape because he's been in the camp. So it's not like they're just getting this guy, he hadn't been in the camp, and they're bringing him in. Then they have to worry about, well, is he in condition enough to play? Let's get him in condition first, and then we can play him. But this guy's already in condition. So if he learns the playbook, the parts of the playbook that they are giving him, the packages, if he learns that very quickly, then there's a possibility you can see him versus the New York Giants. Now, he's a guy that can run any route. I've seen him play. At one time, I said this before, one time he was on his way to being the best receiver in the National Football League, and I honestly mean that. So he's not just a deep threat guy. He can run just about any route you throw at him. But the Titans need him to be out there to help stretch the field because, now that Racey McMath is on IR, he's probably the one guy that can threaten, the safety down the field or could put pressure on those safeties down the field, and they got to cover him on the outside. So that's what it's going to be in regards to deep threat and how he will play. Now, in regards to the box situation, how do the Titans get, defenses outside the box? Listen, they were not able to do it when Derrick Henry was rushing for 2,000 yards. And as long as Derrick Henry's in the backfield, I don't see teams getting out of the box, regardless of what you do. Yeah, regardless of now they're going to mix their defenses up and try to disguise them as good as possible, but they're going to make sure they have a guy, unless it's on obvious passing downs, they're going to have a guy in that box making sure that Derrick Henry doesn't get loose. So, you didn't see people getting outside the box ever when Derrick Henry's been in the backfield, whether it's a 2,000-yard season, 1,500-yard season, or whatever. People have to account for Derrick Henry when he's in the backfield. So I don't think, regardless of what the Titans do, people are going to say, oh, you know what, we're just going to, back off and, allow Derrick Henry to, run wild. Teams are not going to do that.
NFL Next Gen Stats 2021, 36.5% of the time, Derrick Henry faced a stacked box, number one in the league.
Yeah,
that's not going to change.
No, it's not going to change.
No, not at all. And it shouldn't. 615-737-1025. Ask D-Mase. We'll take another round of your phone calls and your texts. Coming up next, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 MAC-level quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guys.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Regal Realty Group on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast for today, low 90s, a little more humid than the last 2 days, and the possibility of a few pop-up showers and weak thunderstorms east of I-65. Scattered showers and storms likely for your Saturday and Sunday.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willy Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage, whether you are buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
It's Family Leisure's 30th annual Labor Day sale.
End of summer clearance items like pools and rafts and pool toys to our new indoor products like massage chairs and theater seating.
Save up to 40% off on all new patio furniture. Over 100 sets on display. Save up to 70% on display model and discontinued items.
Family Leisure has all the big brand names in casual furniture on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Truckloads of spas arriving daily. Over 50 spas on display and on sale. There are even some scratch and dent spas on sale and ready for immediate delivery.
Family Leisure has above ground pools in stock and ready for immediate installation at clearance sale prices.
But the Labor Day sale also kicks off the fall indoor product season.
Enjoy the movie theater experience at home with home theater seating. 3-piece sets start at only $9.99.
Family Leisure has massage chairs starting at just $9.99 as well.
Pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, even ping pong tables are all on sale this weekend.
That's Family Leisure's Labor Day sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch.
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward and master 5th grade math.
I can't do this. It's impossible.
Not you, Dad, your daughter. Staples will help her move forward.
Right.
Right now, Staples one-subject notebooks are just 35 cents each. Plus, during the backpack clearance event, you'll save up to 50% on select backpacks, lunch bags, and water bottles. Staples, this year we're not going back. We're going forward to school. In-store only, ends 9/3, limit 30 on notebooks.
Robbie Stanley.
To avoid non-contact injuries and not repeat last year.
Joe Rexrode.
Just wait until next year's national TV schedule comes out.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. D-Mase. He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Derek Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask D-Mase.
We'll welcome you in.
Now on Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Continuing Ask D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Willy Donick, and Derek Mason. 615-737-1025. That is our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can ask anything. We've had a lot of football questions. You can ask about life as well. Maybe I'll hit you up with some love advice. Or ask you about some love advice. I'm not going to give you love advice. I'm the one that needs it.
Hey, I probably need some too, but no, go ahead.
You know, it ain't easy, man. It ain't easy.
This is going to be one of my favorite segments. It's already becoming that. We've kind of rolled it out for a test drive, and now we have an open.
Yes.
Right now it's official. You heard the open. This means it's a thing.
Every Friday at 12:30. So mark your calendars because every Friday at 12:30 you can ask D-Mase, and then at 1 o'clock Eddie George will join the show.
Oh, this is huge.
So this is big for Titan Weekend coming up, but Eddie's going to join us at 1 o'clock. All right, so more on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. An unnamed texter, and please put your name if you text in. I want to know if D-Mase would join a local flag football team. Hey, you don't get hit in that. You could do that.
Hey, you still got to run around. Somebody might try to hit you just because, or you might fall catching the pass. I played in a flag football league, I think, a year or two after my retirement. A friend of mine, I played on his league. Yeah. And I felt out of place because it was like I'm sort of a professional, and I don't really want to go out here.
I can't believe they got you to play.
And just, so it was like I went in. I wasn't in all the time. I just kind of took myself in and out. I was mostly out and in because I thought it was a disadvantage.
Yeah, so. Here's the thing. As the program director here at 102.5, 106.3 The Game, I think it'd be a great idea for us to make a flag football team. But there's one thing that would get on my nerves because if I'm going to draw it up, let's say I'm the GM and I draw it up, Derek obviously is the go-to guy. I'd probably have Willy is either a receiver or a quarterback.
He had to be the quarterback.
Robbie could be, multiple positions. I think Joe can provide some athleticism. But what's going to get old is Coach Stillman standing on the sideline. Get the ball to Derek. Get the ball to Derek. Why are you throwing to Joe? Get the ball to Derek. I mean, you'd hear that every 20
we would have to
seconds.
have Caroline. She would be the running back. But swinging out the
She's got some
backfield.
speed.
Yeah, toss
Michelle,
it to her.
I think Nick could provide some help as well. Nick's a hockey player. But,
Nick, Nick would be the give back coach.
What'd you do?
Yeah, baby.
There you go.
Get
so
back.
there we go. But no, I mean, I've hung up my cleats.
I have learned
or
this
turf
about
shoes,
flag
whatever you want to call
football. It can get pretty hardcore. I was once asked, this is one of my favorite stories, and it got me to a whole new level of appreciation for officials. I was asked to volunteer to referee for a flag football tournament. And I was like, hey, all right, sounds like fun. I'll just go out there and, we'll have a little fun, throw a flag. They even gave me a flag.
Oh.
These guys were there. This was a big flag football tournament. And these guys were running plays. These guys were from all kinds of different cities, and they came in to win. They were screaming at each other during the game. They were screaming at me. I was being asked to throw. I didn't know the rules. I was just given a quick, cursory rundown of here are the rules to look for. People were telling me that the other team was lining up in an illegal formation. I was like, you think I'm going to throw a flag for an illegal formation? They were getting all over me. I had a new appreciation. But, flag football is like
It's hardcore,
for real.
man. It's
For
hardcore.
real.
This would be Nick.
I need you lower. Hey, pull your pants up.
You've never heard me in my own hockey game, so you should come out for that and see how I am.
Scott Cochran, man. The best. The best.
Oh, my goodness. Well, yeah, my days of playing flag football are just about over.
Now, you did,
I'm not going to
though.
say never. I will never play, but let's just say it's close to it.
You did at training camp say you could go out there for 10 pass patterns and have some success against the Titans guys.
Yeah, I could.
Okay.
But then they would have to pay me afterwards.
You're a Bentley right now. I'm just going to put spinners on that thing.
I love that guy so much. Mark on our text line says, being a father of a freshman football player, what would you say is the most important thing to do to learn the game / position and to continue to grow in the sport?
Get with some of those veteran guys, those upperclassmen, and pick their brain. It's so hard in college, though, because you got to juggle both going to class and your obligations, as an athlete as well. But anytime you can, anytime you have free time, whenever there's free time outside of your classwork or studying, then your nose should be in that playbook. If this is indeed what you really want to do. Because sometimes, guys or girls, they, get to college and, they play the sport, and whether they're a scholarship athlete or not, they play the sport, but then they get there and it's like, I really don't feel like playing it anymore. I enjoy being on the team, but I don't, it's not in me like that, like it used to be. And that happens. So, but if this is what you truly want to do, then, if you have gotten your study in, getting your work in the classroom, then that other time needs to be spent with your nose in a playbook, trying to get better as an athlete. And picking the brains of those upperclassmen, too, that are in your particular room.
Another football question, BP in Springfield. Being a big 49ers fan, I want to get Derek's thoughts on the Jimmy G and Lance issue in San Francisco. Do you think the 49ers restructured Jimmy to trade him or just because they want him to back up? Personally, I think the restructure would just make him more tradable as they kept 3 quarterbacks.
That may be a good one. That could be
I think the market could be there as the season goes.
Yeah.
If a quarterback gets hurt, whatever.
But it's going to take a quarterback getting hurt, because if you look at, look around the NFL now, there's not, if you look at each team, there may be one starting job truly available, one or two. And I'm trying to think. I can always throw out Seattle because of their situation. But besides Seattle, who else is out there there's in dire need of like a starting quarterback at this point? I'm sure there's probably other teams, but offhand, I don't know. But listen, I don't think anyone was going to trade for Jimmy G. He still was rehabbing. At one point in time, he was rehabbing that shoulder, so no one was going to touch him then. And then I think San Fran just wanted too much with that his salary. They wanted too much, and I understand why. So teams sort of backed off, and it's good to have him as an insurance policy because anything can happen in this game. Your number one quarterback goes down, and all of a sudden, you go from being a Super Bowl contender to trying to make it to the playoffs. Well, if something happens to Trey Lance, they can always fall back on Jimmy G and still be in the same sort of place.
You know what Nick Saban would say about that?
What?
Whatever happens, we just get another player.
I found my old drop.
Only Nick can say that.
Did you have cereal this morning?
I found all my old drops. I'm so happy. I missed that so much.
So they're in a good situation with their quarterback. Jimmy G, Trey Lance.
I'm wondering what happens if Lance struggles and Jimmy G's sitting there and the fans start going, wait a minute, we won a lot of games with Jimmy G, and this Lance thing's not going very well. I do wonder what kind of tension that could create.
It all depends on if they're still winning or not.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying if they're struggling, if he's struggling,
but they're winning because of their defense, then they're going to keep him.
See, I even think if he's struggling, you can't go back to Jimmy G.
Yeah, it's almost tough to do that.
You've kind of made your bed here.
I know, but that's what's interesting. What if it doesn't work?
And John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are connected to him. So whatever happens,
they say that now, but he's there, and that won't stop the fans. If they're 2-3, and it's been a struggle a little bit, and you'll hear it. Jimmy G is 31-14 or whatever he is. I mean, the record in games he started and the record without him is a stark contrast. And Lance, it sounds great right now, and maybe Lance ends up being awesome. That could happen, but we'll see.
This is officially the end of Ask D-Mase for this week, but we will do it again next Friday at 12:30.
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
So there you go. So in the questions, Eddie George, TSU head coach, former Titan. Coming up next, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You watch the game.
Tannehill, he can run, and he does. Touchdown.
We talk the game.
I think this is Vrabel giving Tannehill more authority over the team.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Maine Kenny here. Kenny Maine here. All right, that one was on me. And hey, for new Caesars Sportsbook app users, your first bet's on Caesars. So if you don't win, you get it wrong, you get up to $1,250 back as a free bet. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app and sign up with the code RADIOFULL.
Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. Qualifying bet loses. Bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
If you missed the latest from Stillman & Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
TD, your reaction to the news from Adam Schefter that Harold Landry's out for the season and what it means for the Titans?
It's terrible, terrible news for the Titans, and it means that they're going to have to rely on an assortment of players to step up. Right away, Rashad Weaver comes to mind, and he's someone that has done really well in the preseason the past couple years. You look at the way he was able to get to the quarterback and get sacks and disrupt the quarterback, leading to an interception for Joe Jones. Those are things that you got to bring to the table. But then there's two other names. Obviously Ola Adeni is someone that you look at. He is an ideal situational pass rusher. He's one of those squatty, really strong type of guys that could come off the edge and give some of the taller tackles some issues.
Tune in Stillman & Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This September, the Chainsmokers hit Music City at the Blended Wine and Music Festival. 24 bands, 2 stages, 1 weekend, all under the Nashville skyline. Performances by the Chainsmokers, Loud Luxury, Sick Kick, Fetty Wap, Breland, and more. September 10th and 11th, the ultimate social experience drops in Music City. Enjoy a massive 100-foot wine tent, culinary village, and wellness lounge. Get tickets now at blendedfestival.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robbie and Rex Road, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase.
Stowing Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome Game 7. Checkered flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Now let's see if we can bring them to life, all right?
Bringing you entertainment and informative sports talk during your workday.
Smart, funny, classy, and I like him a lot.
This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase with Chase McCabe, Willy Donick,
Mason, touchdown, Tennessee.
and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
This is a new level of geek you got going on here.
1 o'clock hour, Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Willy Donick, and Derek Mason with you every Friday at 1 o'clock. We look forward to having a conversation with the TSU head football coach and, of course, Titans legend Eddie George is on the line with us. Eddie, how you doing?
I am doing outstanding, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
We are
Wonderful.
ready. We are ready to rock and roll. I know you're excited to talk to your former teammate in Derek Mason, but I know you're even more excited to head to Eastern Washington tomorrow. Coverage will begin at 2:30 on 94.9 The Fan. Year 2 for you as the head coach at TSU. How do you feel about your ball club heading on the road to take on a very good Eastern Washington team?
No question. I feel good about it. I think, we're all ready to play somebody different. You get that place during camp where you try to, facing your teammates every day. It gets very competitive. It gets hot. I mean, if somebody looks at you wrong, you sets you off, you're starting to fight. So that's kind of how I know it was time for us to face another opponent. And what better opponent to play that can get your attention than Eastern Washington on the road at their place. The Red Inferno field, all of it. They've been to the playoffs in the last 10 years straight. And they've gotten our attention. So, we're excited to play a worthy opponent for sure.
Yeah, how many times in camp, Eddie, did you have to pull D-Mase aside and say, hey, stop trying to fight Samari or somebody like that?
Hey, listen, one thing for sure, when Derek's on red, look out. Because nothing was going to stop him. Nothing was going to stop Derek. Derek would meet you in the parking lot, afterwards. He can hold a grudge. It wasn't like, all right, it was business only. Now he's going to meet you in the weight room. He's going to meet you and wait for you in the training room, out everywhere. So you don't want to get 85 upset at you for sure.
Well, Jeff Fisher was in here one time and told a story of Derek was mad. I think you guys beat the Giants. Was it the Giants that Steve found Drew in the back of the end zone and you were pissed that Steve didn't throw you the ball, and so Jeff put you at quarterback in practice? You threw it in the dirt?
Oh, I threw it in the dirt. I never wanted to be quarterback after that.
You didn't be?
Nah, I didn't want to be quarterback after that, man. That job is extremely too hard. We're talking with Eddie George, TSU's head football coach. They are traveling out west to take on Eastern Washington. Now, Eddie, your team won 4 out of its last 7 games last year. How do they – and I know momentum is a tricky thing because now you had the lapse of an offseason and everything. You finally had a really good offseason where you had all the guys in there. You had your coaches in place. How do they sort of pick up on where they left off last year?
Well, we just finished – you said talk about momentum. We are just going from – the momentum that we generated from the offseason, Derek. We knew last year that in the way that we wanted to. We were still in the hunt for an OVC championship late in October. We knew we were banged up by the end of the year, and the kids gave me everything that they had. And and that carried over into our winter conditioning. You know, I know we got better. We got bigger, stronger, faster, and gained more confidence that way. We picked up some pieces and parts to our roster. We had a very productive summer camp and spring session as well. So all of that leads into where we are now. Guys have been attentive. I think they're very confident. Now it's just a matter of going out and starting fast. That's the one thing that I preached all week long, is that the moment that you wake up, you start fast. It's not when you show up to the facility. It's not when you show up to the field on game day. It starts on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. And when you come to walk through before you board the plane, it's already started. So there's no reason for you to be late. There's no reason for you to miss assignments, because you're already locked in. This is a business trip. We're going out here to handle our business and leave. So we all want to start off fast. I think we're on the right track right now, and hopefully it'll end up with a victory on our way home.
Now you have a transfer in Draylon Ellis from Austin Peay, the quarterback. He put up some really good numbers as a freshman. Last year he transferred over to you. You got Devin Starling as well, who in 2020-21 was the co-freshman of the year. What do these guys bring to the table this year, and what are you looking for specifically in your quarterback?
Well, specifically for Draylon, it's decision-making, understanding, where his progression is, and really putting us in a great situation to keep the chains moving. Draylon has tremendous talent. He gave us headaches last year at Austin Peay, and I'm looking for him to take it to another level, not just rely on his athleticism, but have true understanding of the game, of the situation, not taking a bad sack. Understand that when we get in the red zone, or the green zone rather, scoring zone, we can't afford to go backwards, not taking a bad play. All of those things I'm really looking forward to see his growth in that area. As far as Starling goes, he's only as good as the guys up front. That's my number one priority, is to enhance our offensive line, to make sure that they're ready, to make sure that they're confident, make sure they're physically fit and ready to go, and understand it's a mindset that we have at the offensive line, that no matter who's back there, we open up holes and we protect. That's our number one job, and we do it with violence. Okay, and that's what we preach time and time out. So I'm excited to see how our messages, our practices, all those, how we stack those practices, how that translate into the next game, this game that we want to play, and for the rest of the season.
We'll talk with Eddie George, Tennessee State's head football coach. They headed out west to Eastern Washington this weekend. Now, James Green, who led your team in total tackles last year, he had 41 solos. He was named co-MVP, co-player of the year last year. Not co-player of the year, but co-player of the week. A defensive player of the week during some point of last year. How have you seen him grow? Not just, with his play, but also his leadership.
Derek, you talk about leaders and how players take over the locker room. You can recall when we got to Tennessee and became the Titans, and how we took over that locker room and set the standard. Well, James Green is that for us now. He's been here for quite a long time. He saw two different coaching regimes, and his leadership is everything for us. He is the voice of the locker room. He makes great plays, and for him to really take on a new system and to trust the coaching staff has just elevated his play. So at some point, I think James, he may not play because he had an injury during our camp, but just his voice has been tremendous for us, and his leadership is second to none.
We're talking to Coach Eddie George, Tennessee State. Eddie, I just want to ask a question that might be a crossover with something you as a coach deal with, and also what the Titans are going through right now with the loss of Harold Landry. Yeah. Just give us your mentality as a leader. You're just talking about how you want your leaders to act. How did you try to address that to your team when you lose a key guy like that? And at the same time, have that mentality of we're going to find a way to collectively overcome this.
Well, it's next man up. I mean, we dealt with some significant injuries during my time with Tennessee. We lost Kevin Dyson. I think it was a Thursday right before our big game, and Kevin was coming on as a receiver, and we lost him for the entire year. He had an ACL injury. And as devastated as we were, Derek stepped up, other receivers stepped up and took on that role. When Steve McNair went down with an injury, he missed, I think, 3 or 4 games due to a back injury. We didn't even know he was hurt. We had a going Friday walkthrough. He's out. Neil O'Donnell steps in, and we didn't miss a beat. So we understand it's the nature of the business. We understand that's football, especially in the NFL where one of your key guys goes down. You rally around the other guys and say, hey, we're expected for you to pick up right where he left off, and no questions asked. I mean, there's no excuses. So that's the mentality that you have to have, and that's we've suffered that a little bit here at Tennessee State. We had 2 of our guys go down, but it's another opportunity for somebody to step in there and to make their stake at why they should be that guy. So it's always that next man up mentality. Yes, you're hurt that you lost your teammate, but you've got to pick up the pieces and move on because the game is going to be played.
You've had some great interactions with Derrick Henry over the years. I'm curious your reaction when you saw that, that they looked like they made almost an extra investment in him yesterday, a pay raise for this year, and they set his contract so it looks like there's a pretty good shot that they know that he's going to be there again next year. You've been through it yourself when running backs get to this stage of their career. How would it make you feel if you were Derrick and they made this move yesterday?
Well, it's a restructuring of his contract. They pretty much, I think they kind of gave him a signing bonus, $2 million. It went from $12 million to $14 million, I think. I don't know the details of it. But it shows in good faith that, I wouldn't say good faith. I'll just say that it shows that they're willing to accept him, next year, possibly of coming back. Because as you know, in this business, if things don't go that well, they're going to make a change. They'll probably want to see, where he is health-wise, and that's business. You don't want to see if he's going to be the player that he was prior to the injury, and if he is, hey, they move forward and they work out a long-term deal. If not, then they'll have to deal with that at the end of the year. But that's how this goes. That's the ugly side of professional football, is that you have a salary cap, you have players that are aging, you have players that you're trying to sign. You're always looking 2 to 3 years down the line on your roster to replace guys in case if somebody doesn't come back. You can't reach a number, so that's kind of where they are. So I think on both sides it's a win-win. It gives Derrick some security, another $2 million or $14 million to show, hey, we are willing to make an investment in you as long as you're the same player as you were, to justify why we're making you one of the highest paid running backs in the NFL.
Eddie, as we let you go along those lines with Derrick, I mean, football players are going to deal with injuries all the time, but he's been very lucky in his career. This is the first major one that he's had to go through. You know what kind of person he is physically, and he works through everything. He's looked good in training camp. But for you, when you had to deal with something and come back from it, how important was the mental rehab as opposed to the physical rehab of just not having that thought in your head of, like in Derrick's case, he plants on that foot for the first time and something weird happens. How do you get over that hurdle?
You got to go out and play. There's nothing you can do in practice to really simulate it, because you don't have people coming at your feet, your legs, trying to tackle you. It's more controlled in practice. I know that when I had my toe injury in 2001, it took me a long time to get used to my foot. It felt like I was running with a flat tire. It had a hitch in my gait because it wasn't quite healed. And just to cut off of my right foot, I had to do a double cut on my right side. Instead of planting my foot and going, I had to take 2 more steps. And it took time, I lost a step off of my gait, and that affected me. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be there, and it's going to take him maybe a game or 2 to get that confidence back, to say, hey, I'm fully healed, I'm healthy, I'm whole, and it's okay that you get hit, and that's part of the process of him getting over it. So I don't think Derek is going to be impacted one iota from this. I think he picks up right where he left off prior to the injury.
Well, Eddie, best of luck at Eastern Washington. We look forward to hearing the games, and Greg Pogue on the call starting at with coverage at 2:30 tomorrow. But we'll do it again next week. Looking forward to having you. Also, the debut of the Eddie George Show coming up Monday night at 6 in Peabody. You and Jonathan Hutton, I know you're excited about that as well.
Very excited, man. Have Hutton on. We're going to talk about all topics, Titans, the breakdown of all the games from college to professional and leading up to the week. Talk about the Tennessee State Tigers, hopefully a victory we're talking about on Monday. But I'm really excited to have this opportunity on Monday nights to share stories, share my insight, and entertain people around the Middle Tennessee State area.
Well, and I know you're going to go out there, get the win for TSU, and then you can watch your Buckeyes take care of business against Notre Dame. So it'll be a good Saturday for you. I feel it.
I didn't even realize they were playing.
Eddie, thanks so much. We'll do it again next week.
All right. Hey, God bless, man. Have a great one. Have a good one, Derek.
All right, you too, E.G.
Eddie George, the head coach at Tennessee State University. They will take on Eastern Washington. I don't believe that. He knew the Buckeyes were playing. He tried to sneak
a little sarcasm there.
I don't believe
come
that for
on,
one
man.
second. But, again, excited to have this partnership with TSU. That means the Eddie George Show Mondays at 6 here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Eddie's going to join us every Friday at 1 o'clock. I think mainly because he just wants to talk to you, Derek, not Willie or I, but, he's very nice about it.
Hey, Willie asks some cutting-edge questions.
That's what he does.
Yeah,
That's who he is. That's how we roll. So awesome to have Eddie on with us every week. It's going to be really, really cool to be able to do that. Coming up next, we'll get back into the Titans and filling the void left by Harold Landry. We'll do that next. Chase, Willie, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
It's brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Raise your glass to the start of Oktoberfest and keep it raised for our authentic Stein hoisting competition. Join in on Fridays in September at 6 p.m. this month for the chance to win weekly prizes and Sam Adams swag at Twin Peaks in Cool Springs.
With your home value up again, you are sitting on a pile of money. So don't let it sit there. Use it. Willie Donick here for my friends once again at Loan Pronto. Introducing Loan Pronto's Equity Line of Credit program. You don't have to refinance, but you can access up to 97% of your home's value. Get cash now to pay off all your credit cards or do that home improvement project. Get your down payment for a new home or stash away for a safety net. You can get $50,000, even $100,000 or more out of your home. And the payments are crazy low. Think what you could do with $100,000 right now. Loan Pronto makes unlocking your equity easy, and they can probably even waive the appraisal. Don't just let all that home equity pile up. Turn your house into an ATM machine and get the cash you need. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Kick off week 1 with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code ROB to get in on the action. Then you can turn game day into payday all season long. I really like the Titans in week 1 against the Giants. The Giants continue to have injury problems. in the preseason. So that's probably the game that I'm looking at, but you take it any way you want to take it. Play your way and bet on more than just the final score. Wager on everything from touchdowns to total yards to catches. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets, win or lose with promo code ROB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
I'm ready to step this up a notch.
You're listening to Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Appreciate Eddie George for joining us again. The Eddie George Show will debut Monday night at 6 in Peabody, presented by Low T Centers, and that'll feature Jonathan Hutton as well. So looking forward to that, and just going to be cool to be able to catch up with Eddie every week about TSU, the Titans, and everything. He talked about, Harold Landry a little bit and just kind of that leader mentality. And, I said this earlier. I think that obviously Mike Vrabel doesn't want any of his players to get hurt. We all know that. But he thrives in those situations. I mean, I think he is one of those guys going back to his playing days with the Patriots, going, as a coach now, that when the chips are down and your back's against the wall, Vrabel is the guy that knows how to rally his team. And, Eddie was that way as a player. He's learning that now as a coach. Derek, you were that way as a player. It's something you can't really teach, but I think that Vrabel just thrives in those instances.
He does. I want to just ask y'all something right quickly about this, because we, a lot of people call in, and, we have our other colleagues, whether it be Joe and Robbie or Jared and Caroline, and all of us, we talk about, well, we trust Vrabel, Coach of the Year. He did a magnificent job, this and that and that and this. And then when something happens like this, is all of a sudden, it's like this, whoa, stop, this apprehension now, like, man, I hope this works out. That's like saying, I trust my parents, but then when something goes bad, it's like, oh, I don't know if No, if you trust your parents, you trust your parents, If they've shown you that, okay, we are behind you, we are supporting you, if something comes up, you shouldn't waver from that. That's how I feel about Vrabel. We trusted him last year. He won Coach of the Year. He made all these moves to play 90 players because of COVID and injury and all this other stuff. We trust him then, and we praised him for winning Coach of the Year. And all of a sudden now, well, we don't know if Malik Willis can be the backup. We don't know if Harold Landry, somebody can step in Harold Landry's place. We trust Mike Vrabel to coach, right? Mm-hmm. Well, let's trust that he gets these guys in a position that they are ready to play come the New York Giants. Whether it's Harold Landry, whether it's Rashad Weaver, whether it's Willie Donick, whether it's Chase McCabe, whether it's Jared Stillman, Caroline Finn, no matter. If Vrabel's able to coach you, then you should trust that things will be okay. I trust that things will be fine. I trust that they've coached up Rashad Weaver enough that they will be okay. That position will be okay. Will it possibly be like Harold Landry was to start off? Possibly not. But I think the more and more this kid plays, I think the better he will be.
That right there is one of the biggest reasons I continue to be surprised, and this has been my thing that I've been ramming down everybody's throats this last week or two as all the predictions come out. Mike Vrabel in the predictions doesn't get, and this team doesn't get, any benefit of the doubt for being good at that. They just look at like you said, there is a stigma, I think, of not being a real high-profile team, a big market team. We've been dealing with that for a generation, right? Ever since you guys got here. The other part of it is statistically, they don't wow you, right? They are the statistical model screams overachievers. Shouldn't have won as many games as they did the last 2 years. I think you put those two together, that's why everybody's predicting the Colts. But I don't think there is enough credit given to not just Vrabel, but the entire team culture that's built. It starts at the top with Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
But they've shown the ability to, quote, know how to win. And it's hard to quantify that, but I think that goes a long way. That's why I'm still pretty optimistic that this will be a good team, even though so many people on the outside think they'll be very mediocre.
Well, you trust them until you can't trust them. You know, in regards to Vrabel getting players ready to play. You trust them until he shows you otherwise. So I'm going to trust that whether it's Rashad Weaver or anyone else that he puts in there, that they're going to be ready to play. Now, if it turns out that it's not the way I thought, then okay. But right now, losing Harold Landry was big, you know, but it's not something they can't overcome. They overcame Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And they still was the number 1 seed.
Yep.
So they can overcome Harold Landry as well.
I mean, look.
It'll be hard now, but they can.
Sure. I mean, but again, I think that's where Vrabel thrives. You played against him. You played against him a lot and went against different battles. But, I mean, you look at him now as a coach. Is he somebody that if you were still playing, you'd want to play for?
Oh, I definitely would want to play for Coach Vrabel. Because he reminds me of Coach Harbaugh.
Yeah.
You know, both of them are fiery. You know, Harbs, he didn't have the advantage of playing in the NFL, but he still had that mentality. He had a player's mentality. Like, he was going to go at you. It didn't matter. He was a sort of a player's coach. He demanded a lot from you. But he also was behind you and fighting for you. And that's, I believe, how Vrabel is. He demands a lot from you, but also he will fight until he can't fight no more for you.
No doubt about that for sure. So the Titans will look to fill that void left by Harold Landry. 615-737-1025. It is time for our trivia question of the day, and Willie will also have some fantasy questions for us as we do every day.
Today, I'm going to shift gears from fantasy 100%. I have more of a preview of our prognostications. We're going to make our predictions for the season next year. So today, I'm going to throw an exercise at you in terms of who people are predicting. As I've been saying, so many people predicting the Colts will win the AFC South. But I've got a question about a couple other divisions to throw at you guys today.
Okay. And then you also have a trivia question.
Oh, we've got the
well.
Trivia question. You know that. You know that.
You're ready.
We're ready.
615-737-1025. You'll answer it off the air. And on the line will be a 2-day pass, a pair of 2-day passes, if I could get this out.
You get to go for 2 days.
Yes.
You get to go for 2 days.
Yeah, thank you. To the Blended Festival at Bicentennial Mall State Park on Saturday, September 10th. We'll do that next. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. 2 days. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hi, I'm Yusi Saros. And this is Nashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by UC Saros there.
Unreal. You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Kenny Mayne here with this declaration for new Caesar Sportsbook app users from Caesar. Your first bet's on us, is what Caesar told me to say. That means if you don't win, you get up to $1,250 back as a free bet. Download the Caesar Sportsbook app and sign up with the code RADIOFULL.
Open to new users in Tennessee who are 21 or older. Qualifying bet loses. Bet amount returned as a credit. Must use within 14 days. See Caesar.com/promos for full terms. Gambling problem? Call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
Life is short, and if we spend our time suffering with pain and it takes away our joy, that's not a very good way to live.
He's right. It's hard to be happy when you're in constant pain. QC Kinetics patient Chad admits the chronic pain in his knee really robbed his quality of life.
When I was going to the traditional doctor and getting the pain pills, my smile wasn't as big as it usually is. Going to my high school reunion on crutches, it was awful.
But then Chad visited QC Kinetics. He experienced the real power behind natural regenerative treatments. Using healing properties from his own body, QC Kinetics was able to restore and repair damaged tissue, finally giving Chad lasting relief with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime.
And I'm feeling on top of the world because of QC Kinetics.
Learn how advanced regenerative medicine can help your body heal itself at QC Kinetics. Call now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Nashville. 312 Pizza Company only uses the best all-natural ingredients and makes everything in-house from scratch every single day. And trust me, you can taste the difference. They've got deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, their Italian beef. You'll taste the freshness. Stop in for a pint of local beer and a slice of pizza, or order online at 312pizzaco.com. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Robbie and Rex Road here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willy, and D-Mase.
Stuff the company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is Ryan Johansson. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe, Willy Donick, Derek Mason with you.
Is this the People Court?
No, this is Major League. Nick has like 3 themes he likes to play, so he plays them every day.
Maybe. There we go. It's the old go-to.
Hey, the old standby. Give him the old number 1. Chase, Willy, and D-Mase. All right, it is trivia time. Coming up at 1:45, though, I'm going to debut something as the suit, my tailored-made picks of the week. I'm going to give you 3 locks.
Oh, 3 locks.
Oh, 3 locks.
Yes.
3 tailored locks.
Yes,
okay.
tailor-made.
Tailor-made.
But first, Willy, you have our trivia question of the day.
I do. And I'm working on the rookie back there, okay? I got Archie Bell and the Drells in today. We're just trying to expand the folder a little bit, break out from Magnum PI and Major League. We're getting that a
He
lot.
played a little Jack Harlow today, which I like.
He did, yeah. He did. We're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
How about some Leonard Skinnard? Can we get that? Can we work in some Leonard
Make
Skinnard?
sure he works in the right
Give
song.
me 3 steps.
That's not a bad call. Maybe each of us give him a song every day. Is that good? Because that way the library will expand.
And I do like the TV theme. We used to do TV theme Thursday.
We did do that.
I like the TV
that was
themes.
good.
I'm good with that. But, there's more than Magnum PI.
There we go.
It's a great theme.
All right. You ready for the trivia question
I am ready.
today? Magnum PI.
That wasn't the only thing on TV, okay, Nick?
I know. There was more than one channel back then. There were 3, okay? That's actually like 6. All right. Today we talked to Eddie George. We had a great conversation with him. Derrick Henry's been in the news, of course, this week with the contract adjustment, the restructuring of the contract, which gave him more money up front this year, and also would make the penalty for cutting him after the season more. So they are rolling their chips a bit to free up cap space for this year by paying him more guaranteed money, and then next year there would be a higher dead cap price to pay if they wanted to cut him. So they're saying they think that they can get at least 2 more years out of Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry has led the Titans in rushing for the last 5 years. And the year before that, they got a great year from DeMarco Murray, and that was Derrick's first year. And then you go back a couple years. Chris Johnson, of course, led the team in rushing for 6 consecutive seasons. But here's the question. The year before DeMarco Murray was acquired by the Titans in 2016, who led the Titans in rushing? In 2015, he hailed from Western Kentucky University. Can you name this running back who led the Titans, a bad Titans team, 3-13, in the Malarkey Wisenhunt era?
Wow. Dennis Rodman.
It's not Dennis Rodman.
Dang it. Man.
Dennis did not go to Western Kentucky, but this running back did. 615-737-1025, 2015, led the Titans in rushing out of Western Kentucky. 615-737-1025.
I see the face, but man, the name.
I know who
he
you're
had
talking
only 500+ yards. This was not a good team.
This is when they were in the dome.
But this guy can walk around today and say, I led an NFL team in rushing for a season. That's more than most people can say.
All right.
Derek is giving up. He wants to know the answer.
Yeah.
You remember this guy?
Yeah, I do. Kenny Walker, man. Yeah.
Okay. I think somebody just texted it in.
But you cannot text the answer. You must call 615-737-1025. Now, are you ready for the exercise today? All right. I've been listening to a lot of these and reading a lot of the predictions. So many people picking the Colts, which has irked me a lot. Here's another discussion I hear all the time. The NFC North and the NFC South. The NFC as a whole conference, a little top-heavy still. It's hard to really figure out, who could be that out-of-nowhere team this year. So the NFC North, basically everybody's picking the Packers, even though you're like, they lost Devontae Adams. Chemistry doesn't seem to be great, but who else are you going to pick? And the same is true with the Buccaneers. Hey, Tom Brady left for 11 days. They got injuries on the offensive line, but who else are you going to pick? So here's the challenge for you guys. You have to pick one or the other. The field, the rest of the division, or the Packers. So who would you think has a better chance of not winning the division? The Packers or the Bucs? In other words, so you got the Lions, the Vikings, and the Bears. Like, could any of those teams possibly win the division? And then the Bucs, you have the Saints, the Panthers, and the Falcons. So it's just hard not to pick. The Packers and the Bucs. So who's got the better chance of not winning the division?
Okay.
All things considered. Like, you got to pick the field in the NFC North or the South.
NFC North or the South?
I'm going to say the Bucs.
So who would you see as the team that could possibly?
Saints.
The Saints, just because they play good defense. They've played well against the Bucs.
I mean, look, the biggest question mark for the Saints, well, there's probably two. You got a new head coach, but Dennis Allen's been there a long time. So you got him, and then Jameis. Can Jameis be a serviceable quarterback with a really, really good defense? But I just think there's some other questions with the Bucs. Is Todd Bowles, has he learned from, Bruce Arians and what happened with the Jets and all of that stuff? Is he ready for another shot at being a head coach? We'll see. But Green Bay still has Aaron Rodgers. At the end of the day, they still have Aaron Rodgers.
Right. It's going to be hard to find somebody that's going to pick somebody other than the Packers or the Bucs. But so if you had to do it, you would say Saints over the Bucs would be what you would go with. Now you as a bonus, Chase, also get the Panthers and the Falcons. Most people believe the Falcons will be
Baker could
competing for the first thing. But I think the Panthers, I could see it. If McCaffrey plays the whole season, Mayfield is good, maybe they could be relevant. We'll see. All right, so Derek, do you agree or disagree?
I'm looking at both of these conferences. Carolina, a major upgrade with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. They got DJ Moore at wide receiver. McCaffrey, if he stays healthy, That's another added plus for them. I'm not sure about their defense. The Saints, Jameis coming back. They got the receiver back. Thomas, is he going to be the same Thomas he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Then they drafted Olave, right? Yeah, I think they drafted Olave, or which Ohio State guy did they draft?
Was
Saints, it Olave?
Yeah, the Saints have Olave.
Yeah, so they have Olave, stretch the field, excellent receiver, excellent college receiver, and I'm sure they're looking for him to make the transition. The Falcons, I think they're going to be a much better team. How good? I don't know.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they're going to be a much better
team.
Because
most people think
I think Arthur Smith is going to. I'm not saying they're going. I think they're in the same boat Jacksonville is in, that they can spoil it a little bit for somebody. But then I look at the North. Minnesota is going to be tough with Cousins, Cooks, Jefferson. Really? I think their defense is much improved. The Bears, they've made some moves. If Justin Fields can, make that progression from year one to year two, new coach, this could be a different Bear team. I think the Lions are going to be much better than they have been. And again, Green Bay lost their number one guy in the passing game, and he pretty much made that thing run, he and Aaron Rodgers. Now you don't have that guy. Now you're looking for guys, and they've already had some rumblings in there about the receivers that they have. This is not the same old Green Bay Packer team. Aaron Rodgers is not, he's not getting any younger. He's not Tom Brady. If I was picking, I would say it would be the Green Bay Packers that I don't think would win their division.
Okay, so you're gonna slide your chips to the Lions, Bears, and Vikings. Chase is sliding his chips to the Panthers, Saints, and Falcons. There's a better chance to upset the enormous, overwhelming favorites to win their divisions, the Packers and the Bucs. Even though you kind of look at the aging quarterbacks, could they take a step back? It's just hard to find a way to pick one of the other teams. That's something that's going on. Next week we will make our official predictions for the season.
Can't wait.
Do we have our answer? Do we have a winner in our trivia contest? Who is our winner today?
Avery Cash is our winner today, fellas.
Avery Cash. Does he hail from the Bowling Green area? Does he hail from the Clarksville area? Because
Antioch.
All right.
Antioch.
So he knew that the leading rusher for the Titans the year before Derrick Henry got to the program was one Antonio Andrews.
Whoa.
That was an abysmal year.
That was a bad year.
Oh, my goodness.
Boy, it was bad.
When your leading rusher only has 500 yards.
535.
Wow. How many yards per carry did he average?
3.7.
Wow. Whew.
That's
pedestrian,
not
to say
good.
the least. Yeah.
So Antonio,
I wonder who was in front of, who was blocking for him.
Nobody good, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Well, Taylor was there, wasn't he?
He would have been there, yeah.
Been his first couple years.
Yeah.
Coming up next, I will give my first edition of my tailor-made picks for the college football weekend. Looking forward to that. Plus, we'll get our best shots. Hey, I want to tell you this. We are live on Monday, even though it's Labor Day. We will be in talking all things football with you. Brett Kern, now former Titans punter, going to come in studio with us during the 12 o'clock hour. So he's going to come hang out, and we'll talk to Brett, which will be a lot of fun. But first, this weekend, going to watch a lot of football games, and, of course, I'm going to enjoy my favorite, a Screwball peanut butter whiskey, because, I'm a screwball, and there's a little bit of screwball in all of us. I like it as a shot, chilled, but you can have it on the rocks as a drink. You can have it neat. You can have it as a peanut butter old-fashioned, however you want it. You can go to screwballwhiskey.com for more recipes. And the thing that I love about it the most, it's an original just like me. It's the most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world, and it's made with natural flavors, real peanuts, real peanut butter, and real whiskey, and it goes down oh so smooth and is so refreshing. So when you're out and about with your friends, if you're watching games or what have you, ask for it by name. Say, I want a Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Also do like I do. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2022 Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
To Join Chase McCabe for Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8 for all the news in the world of motorsports.
Joey Logano gets the very first victory in the next-gen car
while hearing from the big names.
Two-time champion Kyle Busch.
Being able to bring NASCAR, the Cup Series, back to Nashville is cool.
It's Chasing Checkers, presented by Apple Collision Centers and the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast for today, low 90s, a little more humid than the last 2 days, and the possibility of a few pop-up showers and weak thunderstorms east of I-65. Scattered showers and storms likely for your Saturday and Sunday.
Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Get a great deal on versatile Kubota equipment today, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors. Part of our tractor lineup rated #1 in durability and owner experience. Z Series mowers and Sidekick utility vehicles. Stop by your local Kubota dealer today. Bring home the Kubota L2501 tractor for $0 down, 0% APR for up to 48 months, plus save up to $1,100. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details. 3 locations to serve you: Columbia Kubota, Franklin Kubota, and Krebs Kubota. ColumbiaKubota.com or FranklinKubota.com or KrebsKubota.com.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the Endless Summer Sale, August 26th through September 5th, and get 30% off paints and stains with prices starting at $29.39. That means 30% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, 30% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Jared Stillman.
If you get 3 games where he doesn't turn the ball over, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Caroline Fenton.
I don't know if he would be open to joining another team.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. This is Chase, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Chase, Willy, and D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Derek is excited about this.
That's your suit and tie song, man.
Little
Justin Timberlake.
JT with you on a Friday. Like it. We're expanding the horizons here, even though I know Nick knows this one. He's jamming out to this in his car.
If he didn't know this, we would have a problem.
Yes. All right, it is time, before we get to our best shots of the week, I'm going to do this every Friday to end the show. I'm going to give you 3 picks for the football weekend that I feel really, really good about.
Write these down.
Yeah,
write these down. Now,
you
need to keep.
I'm keeping charts.
Keep
here.
records.
Okay.
Keep records of this. All right, the first one. You can actually hear this game Sunday night right here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, starting at 6 o'clock. The Brian Kelly era begins in Baton Rouge. I like LSU laying the 3 points against Florida State. Give me the Tigers. Caroline Fenton has to be excited about that. So that's pick number 1. LSU -3. By the way, tailor-made picks. Rick came up with that.
Tailor-made picks.
Tailor-made
Ricky. He knows where that is from.
Oh, yes. Game number 2 for me, I actually like a total here. I like the over 54 in Georgia, Oregon. I think Georgia's going to win that game pretty decisively, but I do think both teams will score points. So I like the over 54 Georgia, Oregon.
Okay, duly noted.
Got it.
No, Vince
Now,
Steele's
who are
not
these?
coaching.
These are tailor-made for
The people.
The people.
People, yeah.
Okay. Just
I think
tailor-made for people
George
in
would
general.
call these the gifts to the people.
Oh, of
but,
course.
I'm not going to do that. And then finally, this game I feel the best about. This is my Stone Cold lock of the week.
It's a tailor-made pick and also a Stone Cold lock.
Lock
Yes, it is.
of week.
Utah is going to run all over Florida. I will lay the 3 points, but I think it's not even going to be close. Love Utah on the road in Gainesville.
Okay.
Stone
Utah
Cold lock.
going south.
Yes, Utah.
Play Florida.
A lot of people like Utah to win the Pac-12 as well.
Okay.
Did you say Utes?
I said Utes.
I said
so
Utes.
Nick, if you're paying attention here, you can, when I guarantee something like that or say it's a lock, you'll save it for when I'm wrong and you can rub it in my face. That's what I would do if I were you. But I'm going to be right. So there you go. LSU -3 against Florida State. The Georgia-Oregon over 54. Utah -3 against Florida. Those are the Suits tailor-made picks of the week. You guys like them?
So,
What do you think?
yeah, Derek, if I had to say which one I feel the best about, I think I like the over 54 in the Georgia-Oregon.
Yeah, I like that.
Best of the three?
I like that one too. But I'm going to go with Chase. I think the Stone Cold lock is
You
Utah
feel good about the Stone Cold
over
lock.
Florida,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But I think that one will happen, over 54. Shoot, it might be Georgia scoring all 54.
It could be. They could do it on their own. You never know. You never know. That offense is pretty good. But, Oregon's always been up-tempo, so we'll see.
Yes.
See how it all works out.
Well, see, this is the thing, Derek. You've been when you sort of jumped out of the trees and said Tennessee's going to beat Georgia, you were justifying it by saying you don't think Georgia's defense will be quite as nasty as it was last year, even though they have all these superstar recruits that are chomping at the bit to get in there. This might be the best time to play Georgia's defense.
Yeah,
while
first
some of
game of
those
the
new
season.
guys
Yeah.
get used to the new roles.
No, you're right about that. So, but that is my Stone Cold lock of the year.
Tennessee,
Yes, it is.
winning at
Tennessee
Georgia.
over Georgia.
If that goes, oh my gosh! Now I think we should just make a rule that you reserve that pick for underdog picks this year. If anybody, nobody, because Sanders might take it. Let's be honest. Chris likes those big underdogs. You never. He just looks at the games that are like 15 or more, and he's going to take one of them.
Oh my goodness!
You need to make a deal with Chris and say, Chris, I give me Tennessee this week. You take another big dog.
His thought process behind picking is a little flawed.
I would have thought he was absolutely nuts until the first year he won the thing.
I know.
He won the contest.
Because he hit Vanderbilt was one of them.
Vanderbilt over Missouri was one of his big ones. That was like 20-something points.
It was huge.
Every blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
That is very true. All right, now it is time. We're bringing it back. We gave it a rest for a little bit, but we've decided to bring back our best shots of the week.
Who are now 1-0 after the 63-10 domination.
Right. Hey, listen, which makes, Clark Lee's comment about being the best team in the county, something to talk about now.
Timmy, great stuff as always. That's a walk-off. We'll do it again next week.
See you, boys. I'm good, Chase. Hope you're doing well.
Doing fantastic. Week 0 is in the books. I will save Vanderbilt for Willy. But look, my biggest takeaway, and I'm not firing a guy after 1 week, but Scott Frost, things are very frosty right now for him in Nebraska after they lose to Northwestern in Ireland.
Is that an original Chase?
No,
things are frosty for Scott Frost.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone's ever used that before.
I think it's been used a few times, I'm sure. When you said Duke of Earl, I knew the song that you were talking about.
Which is
Nick goes and
I thought we was getting ready to go to Buckingham Palace. That's what I thought. I thought the Queen was coming through. I was about to stand up. I don't know. Am I wrong? We love you, Nick. We love you.
That was the highest viewed thing, okay? Give me some slack, but yeah.
The song we were looking for is by Gene Chandler.
Which, in Nick's defense, that was like from the 1950s or early 60s, something like that. Like, what year was Duke of Earl?
1961.
Yeah, I think whatever Nick pulled out was from like 1551. That was from 1551. We're looking from 1961.
I have like in tears right now.
All hail the Queen.
God save our Queen.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. We appreciate that.
Yes.
Well, Nick
is
is
a great segment. On
Nick
the show.
is hip. It's us.
Yeah, we're
that
not.
are not.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. That's
exactly.
Yeah, we're calling for. You don't know about the 1961 song Duke of Earl?
Yeah, but once Chase and Willie get a TikTok, then they're mainstream.
I don't even have TikTok on my phone. You send these TikToks all the time, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with
These
this.
are valuable clips.
It was a valuable clip.
I hate TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I never use it. Only time I go on it is when Nick sends them, because before I couldn't read them. So then I had to go, and now I can read them.
Maybe I just need to make one just for that. There was another one?
Yes, absolutely. No, you'll know who I'm talking about. He played third down. Oh, he played the 2-minute drill. And I only have one arm because the microphone arm doesn't stay up. But I'll find this in a second.
Need some blue chew.
But what is...
We've lost Nick.
But what is...
What was that guy's name?
Kelly
to Purdue.
To Purdue, yeah.
Against Penn State.
What a rat. Go eat some more lunch, George. Get it on your shirt. I didn't hear what he said. What did George say?
He said you have not shown any remorse for your violation of picking a game that was already underway, that you ended up winning.
George, if you leave, nobody cares. You don't move the barometer either way, bro.
Of him being sort of the butt of all the jokes. Hey, he can't stay on the field. How long is he going to last this time? Because he was reinstated and then suspended.
I think he
was more times than you could count.
I think he was more the blunt of all the jokes, but
nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
You'll be here all
Chase
week.
has got jokes. Chase has got jokes.
There you go. Our best shots of the week. Well done, Nick Keyser.
I like that
Behind the
one.
glass. Very, very good. To
the Duke of Earl. Of all jokes.
The Duke of Earl. That was the funniest thing.
Oh, man.
That was so good. But anyway, we'll do that. Bring that back every week. Hey, I wanted to read this real quick. Speaking of betting, and by the way, you can play Silly Underdog Picks. Go to theGameNashville.com.
Yes.
Make sure you get your picks in before kickoff tomorrow, 11 o'clock. That's when everything gets cut off. So go get your picks in for that. But Hard Rock Sportsbook put this out. A Hard Rock Sportsbook bettor will hashtag fight on this weekend. They put $1,000 on the Trojans' money line over Rice at minus 5,988. That would profit $16.70. A beer at a USC game costs $16.
Okay. He covered the beer.
So a beer on the line for the Trojans to win outright, and if Rice upsets USC, T's and P's for that person.
Your Rice Owls.
The Rice
Owls. I did a Vanderbilt basketball game at Rice back in the day on the now defunct CSS.
Was it jasmine rice, brown rice, white
Yellow rice?
What kind of was it?
Jerry Rice.
Jerry
By the
Rice.
way, Mitch Light's son, Gabe, is a freshman at Wake Forest. They opened up with VMI's kicker, Jerry Rice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What a name. What
Good
a name.
football name, but he's
Yeah.
a kicker at VMI. He's a key det.
No. Maybe one. You never know.
You never know.
You never know where that's going to take you in life, for sure. That's going to do it for us, but don't go anywhere. Stillman & Company is coming up next. Jared will have his thoughts on the Vols and their win last night, their big win last night over Ball State. That is all coming up. We'll be back Monday starting at 10 right here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.